Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin tonight's action, BYB would like to issue a special thank you to the Florida Athletic Commission for sanctioning all of our bouts this evening. Our commissioner in attendance is Mr. Tobias Roche. We also have director designees in attendance, Mr. Casey Lawson and Mr. Jeff Thomas. Our physicians at ringside are Alexandre Pacherik, Alan Wynn, and Jerome Obed. Our judges at ringside are Manuel Marquez Jr., John Rupert, Lorenzo Toledo, and Richard Green. Our referees in charge tonight are...
Happy holidays from Miami, Florida, and welcome to BYB 8. 'Tis the season to brawl. Our fighters are going to be decking more than the halls as we serve up a holiday-size helping of Bareknuckle Extreme action, and it all takes place inside the unforgiving confines of the Trigon. Coming up in our main event, Patricia Juarez returns after making history in July and becoming the first ever BYB champion. She puts her lightweight title on the line in our main event as she takes on a battle-tested challenger. That and 7 more big bouts coming your way live from Miami. We take a look at beautiful Miami, awfully nice and warm during the holiday season, as we're going to be coming to you from the James L. Knight Center, where it's always a great night to fight. Hello, everybody. I'm Todd Kennelly. So pleased to be part of the BYB Extreme broadcast team, and what a team we have assembled tonight. Going down the line, around the horn, 2-time world champion Paulie Malignaggi, NFL player and broadcaster extraordinaire Ricardo, Claudia Trejos returning looking fabulous and holding down the desk. And I gotta ask you, Dave Ryan, is there a sport that you don't cover?
My theme, Todd, is any sport, anytime. I'll do it all, love it all. Great to be back.
Great to have you back, and great to be here for my first run here at BYB Extreme. And now let's talk about it, guys. They talk about explosive things, big things come in small packages. Well, when it comes to combat sports in a fighting surface, they don't come any more constricted than the Trigon. It forces that in-your-face action, and that's exactly what our champion found when she took on Christine Stanley in a 7-round war to become the lightweight champion. Patricia Juarez returns. Now, Paulie, I have to ask you, as a champion yourself, more pressure for Patty to win the title, or now that she's got a target on her back as the champ?
Well, you know, it's a mixed bag, really. You know, there's pressure when you're trying to win the title. There's pressure trying to come up the ladder, get there, and when you're finally facing the champion, you know, there is a lot of pressure there. But once you win the title and you start to defend the title, you start to realize something. Everybody is always showing up at their best on the night they fight you, because they also have a chance on that night to achieve a lifelong dream. Years of sacrifice can come together in one night. So you're always going to get the best of every single opponent. So, you know, you may be at the top of the mountain, but the wolf at the top of the mountain might be comfortable. If the wolf at the top of the mountain gets that comfortable, the wolves climbing up the mountain can overtake it. So we'll see.
And interesting parallels, Benny, because Patricia Juarez won the title in her very first fight here in BYB, and that's the case for her challenger. It's her BYB debut. Talking about Sarah Click, she's active military, she's tough, she's fearless.
Absolutely, and again, when I see the Trigon, I get so excited because, I mean, you better try or you're gone. This is a surface that there's no place to run. You got to move laterally, and that's something that Patty did so well against Stanley when she won the title. She mastered that area. She knew exactly how to punch and move around. Sarah Click, on the other hand, you're talking about an Afghanistan veteran. This is a woman that, I mean, she's seen it all in battle and everything in life. And she's also very well trained from a martial arts standpoint, with the black belt, the purple belt, all those kind of things. I myself have a black belt, but it's only in martial arts.
Very good. And Sarah Click, a veteran of the Bellator cage as well, is going to try and make that main event a brawl and take Juarez out of her game plan. Patty Juarez really displayed that beautiful brutality, pinpoint striking in boxing, a family tradition.
Of course, solid Mexican boxing roots. We all know it's a family of 3 sisters. They're all fighters, and it's always exciting to see a Juarez in the ring. What better moment than to see Patty defending her title? But I'm also very excited to see the middleweight fight. I'm excited to see Desmond Green returning to the Trigon because, as we all remember, for his debut, he said, if I don't control and just put my foot on this sport, then I might as well retire. Why? Because his UFC MMA pedigree is that high and so finessely worked. And on the other hand, we have Carlos Alexandre, who comes all the way from Brazil with long roots in the sport itself in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And he's very quiet, but, you know, those intangibles, that makes him even more dangerous.
Alexandre is going to do his talking in the Trigon, you got to believe it. And you talked about the Predator, Green being a pressure fighter. I think Alexandre will give him a run for his money for certain. Dave, what are you looking for on this incredible card?
Todd, all the fights, all 8 fights. It's BYB 8. We have 8 tremendous fights on tap tonight. I love the heavyweight matchup, though. Who doesn't like to watch the big guys throw bombs? Claudia, am I right?
Yes.
It's awfully fun. Stephen Townsend, Jordan Mitchell head-to-head. They have a few things in common. They played football growing up. Jordan Mitchell played high school football, middle school ball, defensive lineman. He's 260 pounds. Stephen Townsend, defensive end. Benny knows how important that position is. Rushing the quarterback. He's going to rush his opponent tonight. Only 1 fight each in the Mighty Trigon for these 2 fighters. Each were quick victories, trying to continue that trend, and they're loving fathers. They're family guys. 6 kids for Jordan Mitchell, 4 for Stephen Townsend. You talk to Stephen Townsend about his children, his daughters, he gets a little buttery. He gets a little weepy. He gets misty. This is emotional for these guys tonight.
Yeah, Townsend, not quite the tough guy exterior when he's talking about his daughters. He tears up. But that, you got to love a big heavyweight brawl. 2 big guys locking horns. A fight that could take place on one of the line of scrimmages in one of the college games you're calling, but it's going to happen in the Trigon. And something else very special about BYB 8 is this recent partnership with BKB in the UK, sending over their world champion in Barrie Jones.
That's right, Barrie Jones. You're talking about a guy, he fought Liam Smith, he fought Kell Brook. This guy quit boxing in 2015, then all of a sudden needed that adrenaline rush, took up Bareknuckle fighting. He's 5-0, knocked everybody over. The guy can knock over a redwood tree. Unbelievable punching power. And he's coming down here to be tested. I think this is great. Mike Vasquez has pulled it off. The universe is coming together. We're going to find the best fighters in the universe. This is the closest thing from street fighting to getting right before you folks and fighting there. And that's what Barrie Jones, we're going to send Carlos Guerra Stitt to England. So the merger is on. We're going to find out who the best are in the world.
Absolutely, and Paulie, Barrie Jones, he was a WBO featherweight champion, so a lot of high-level boxing competition.
Yeah, you can take a lot of the boxing intangibles and skills into the Trigon, fighting Bareknuckle. But, the thing about the rules here in the U.S. that they don't have in BKB in England is you're allowed to use the Thai plum, or you're allowed to hold and hit, do some dirty boxing. So it'll be interesting to see, because he's fighting, Jones himself is fighting Melo tonight, who has a vast amount of experience in MMA, the UFC and whatnot. And he's got a great chin. He's sturdy. We saw him against Jomi Escoboza, and he was not stopping with that pressure. So it'll be interesting to see how Jones deals with a guy who we expect to be durable. Everybody who's going to come as a fan of Jones is saying, oh, he knocks everybody out, he's going to stop everybody. But I'm not sure Melo's going to go away that quietly. And if Melo can get close, and in the Trigon you get very close very fast, it'll be interesting to see how Jones is able to adapt, or if he's able to adapt to that close brawling style that Melo will want to impose.
Melo is not called the Juggernaut for no reason. He's going to bring the fight. He's going to charge. And the other thing that the British fighters have to keep in mind, they're used to 2-minute rounds, 3-minute rounds here in the BYB. Speaking of rules, Dave Ryan, why don't you take us through
Let's go over some of the rules, Todd. Very close, very fast, as Paulie talked about. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, Claudia. It's such a fun fight discipline to watch. 4-ounce gloves, exposed knuckles, but they're optional. Those gloves, we'll see just wraps on some fighters. The no 3 knockdown rule means we'll see lots of action and confrontation. 10-point must scoring system is in effect. Punching in the clinch, well, Paulie talked about it. You got to fight your way out of those clinches. There's no time to reset or recharge, and the referee or doctor can stop the fight as well. It's going to be fun to watch tonight. Love this setup.
Absolutely, and on top of that, you know, if there's a foul or something happens, a fight does have to go one complete round if it's going to go to the scorecards. Now, somebody's missing. I'm keeping a seat warm here tonight. Conspicuous by his absence is the legendary Mike Goldberg. So a big hello to Mike, who couldn't join us in the house here tonight, but fret not, fight fans, because Goldie will be very active on all the social media platforms of BYB. So fans, as you're watching along, make sure you interact with the legendary voice of BYB Extreme. Goldie will be on there and making his comments on the fights. And the fights coming your way, 8 big fights, lightweight title main event, so much more coming your way. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, it will indeed be time to fight on. Taking a look at Miami, Florida, and fans, we thank you for tuning in live wherever you may be to BYB 8. 'Tis the season to brawl as we get set for our first big fight of the night. Can't wait to kick off the action. We take a look at some of the footage from yesterday's weigh-in. You've got the Rebel Alan Arzano on the left of your screen taking on the Reaper, Mattia Fonda, in a lightweight battle coming up as we kick things off here at BYB.
Can you hear me? No, I said Miami, Florida. Can you hear me? Welcome to BYB Extreme 8, live from the James L. Knight Center here in Miami, Florida. We have 8 bouts on the card tonight, all under bare-knuckle rules, featuring our highly anticipated championship main event. But it all starts with our first bout of the night. It is scheduled for 5 3-minute rounds in the light heavyweight division. Introducing first and making his way to the Trigon, please welcome Mattia Fonda.
Mattia Fonda out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, comes in with an MMA background. He's got 2 consecutive wins in the MMA cage. That's great. However, both victories by way of submission, which obviously isn't going to translate to the Trigon. But, Paulie, for the last 6 months, Mattia Fonda has been training in boxing exclusively with none other than Duke Rufus.
You know what? He's honing his hand skills, honing the scrap. He's on a winning streak, yeah, like you said. It's not with any method of stand-up, but nonetheless, he comes in with that confidence. When you've been winning, you come in with a confident attitude, a confident mentality, and 6 months of hand skills training. You know what? That can only help him. We'll see how confidently he's been improving tonight in this fight.
Yeah, he's been training at the AMC boxing gym there and exclusively doing the footwork. And that's the thing in this particular surfer with the Trigon. You better have great footwork, and you better be going forward or laterally. You cannot go backwards. So a lot of the MMA training, you got to put it behind and just stick to the boxing.
And his opponent, fighting out of the red corner, please welcome to the Trigon, Alan Arzano.
Unlike his opponent, Mattia Fonda, the Rebel Alan Arzano has a couple bare-knuckle bouts under his belt. He's 1-1, including a round 1 victory over Fred Pierce back in November of 2020. But he's well-versed as well, Paulie, in Muay Thai, where he's 4-0. And what we've seen in the past with the likes of Carlos Guerra, that Muay Thai does translate because of that dirty boxing in the clinch.
You know what? You can use the dirty boxing in the clinch from the Muay Thai background, but nonetheless, Guerra showed us you have to be able to be calm and know how to pick your spots and pick your shots correctly inside the trigon and when you're in a stand-up position. So we'll see if it translates in the same way for Arzano. It's going to be more psychological than physical at that point, but we'll see how his hand skills could translate regardless. You know, he's a stand-up fighter. He's got that 4-0 record in Muay Thai. We'll see.
Yeah, and one of the problems when you get the Muay Thai guy, they're very upright and they lean back because they're used to kicking, and that doesn't bode well for bare knuckle fighting, because in bare knuckle fighting you got to punch off that front foot. Yeah. And so that's and the other thing is they telegraph it. When they go to kick, they lift that leg. So if you go ahead and focus on that, you can counter at that time.
And Betty, that's a good point, because a lot of times in just a hand-to-hand combat, if you're too straight up, those overhand shots can reach you. You got to know how to bend your knees and get underneath some of those shots.
Arzano's got boxing background as well, 2-0 undefeated as a pugilist, as we're going to set the stage for this lightweight opening contest. Back inside the cage to ring announcer Big Mo.
Ladies and gentlemen, this light heavyweight bare knuckle bout is scheduled for 5 3-minute rounds and is presented by MMA Coin. Let's meet the fighters. First, fighting out of the blue corner. He stands 5 feet 7 inches tall, weighing in at 169 pounds. He is making his bare knuckle debut, and he fights out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Introducing Mattia the Reaper and his opponent fighting out of the red corner. He stands 5 feet 9 inches tall, weighing in at 170 pounds. He holds a bare knuckle record of 1 win, 1 loss, and he fights right here in Miami, Florida, by way of Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic, Alan the Rebel Arzano. Our referee in charge, Bobby Wambacher.
All right, gentlemen, we've been through the rules in the back. I expect a good, clean fight. Obey my commands at all times. Protect yourself at all times. Touch them up if you want.
Stage is set. Cut the tension with a knife here as we take a look at how these two match up, Paulie, in our tail of the tape for our opening contest.
Yeah, we see Fonda as a lot younger. You know, Arzano is 42 years old. You know, for everything else, you know, kind of similar. A little more of a height difference on the part of Arzano.
Arzano blitzing in quickly and gets his opponent, the Reaper, in the corner. Don't want to be in those corners in the Trigon. 60-degree angles, all acute angles. Nothing cute happens in those corners.
Oh, yeah, and you can't go back. You go back, you're going to get knocked out right there. You got to bring the fight. You got to go straight ahead, and defensively, you got to move laterally and get around him.
Arzano moving backwards, as you said. Maybe that Muay Thai experience a detriment right now, Benny, as you mentioned.
Yeah, that's a detriment because, again, he's used to fighting upright. He's going to have to stay down here.
Yeah, especially in this corner. He's trying to use that Muay Thai clinch now.
4-0 and Muay Thai catches him with a crisp right hand. They're out of the clinch. Dirty boxing allowed here, and now using it with the uppercuts is Mattia Fonda.
Well, Paulie, it's interesting. He's using that now as a defense, that dirty boxing.
Yeah.
He's held the back of his head and just held him there.
Well, I think that nervous energy of Fonda kind of is starting to wear a little bit thinner now. At first, you know, he kind of came out flying, and it even gave him some success. I mean, Arzano's cut, and he was able to land some good shots, but I've noticed Fonda's a little bit calmer now. Let's see if Arzano can take advantage as he's using that southpaw jab here in the corner nonetheless.
Mattia Fonda was given that nickname for his propensity for leg locks in wrestling. Now he'd like to earn it for throwing hands. Known as the Reaper. Inside 2 minutes to go. This one's scheduled for 5 3-minute rounds. Our opening contest at BYB 8. Swinging and missing is Fonda right now.
And that's a bad cut over the right eye, because that blood's going to come down in his eyes.
Fonda's nervous energy has worked for him thus far, but if he starts to slow down, he's going to have to figure out a way not to get picked apart like this, because Arzano's starting to find the target more and more through that as that energy diminishes of Fonda.
Yeah, Arzano started to measure him there and is again right now, Benny, connecting punches and bunches.
Yeah, and you know, and the punches are really wide, and you know, you got to come down the pipe. You're not going to do anything with those wide punches. Might catch a cold, that's about it.
Little windmill action. We'll see if Mattia Fonda can come up the middle. He's got him in the corner here.
And just like a typical BYB fight, plenty of blood.
Oh, yes, indeed. The Crimson Masks aplenty here in BYB Extreme.
And Bareknuckle, BYB Extreme, especially in the Trigon. The action's fast and furious. And it's not too quickly, it's not too much time before blood starts to get exposed.
Are you guys impressed with just the sheer volume of punches that are being thrown between these two?
That is a great pivot move right there by Arzano. The way he wheeled around and got out of that. You got to fight out of that corner.
And that's the thing, you can see Arzano has a little off balance there. You can see Arzano has more experience in stand-up fighting. Fonda's success in this round has been more from just excessive energy, almost nervous energy. I am questioning whether once he starts to slow down, if he's going to be able to have that kind of success, because Arzano has done a better job of picking his spots. Close round, because obviously Fonda was energetic, but I'm curious to see if as the rounds go on, as Fonda's energy diminishes with stamina issues and whatnot, because, you know, every round you get a little bit tired. We'll see if Arzano can take more advantage, because he's a guy who's been picking his spots a little better in my eyes.
Those shots took their toll, though. You see the blood-soaked cranium there of the Rebel, Alan Arzano. I mean, Mattia Fonda, then he was throwing with reckless abandon, but Paulie makes a great point. How big is that gas tank as this thing continues?
Exactly, we're going to find out. And you know, so much of in the fighting game, 40% of their energy is used up in nervous energy when they get inside there, you know, in the fighting. So a lot of times you loosen up as you fight.
And the reason I mention his nervous energy is because Fonda doesn't have the stand-up fighting experience. You know, like you mentioned at the beginning, he's got his wins by submission, the last couple of wins. So he's been training in the stand-up fighting. He's anxious to use it, and he wants to use it. Don't get me wrong, we're in a bare-knuckle fight, but how comfortable is he? And that's why I see it translating into nervous energy. We'll see how much energy he has this round.
Mattia Fonda threw with reckless abandon. Certainly didn't back down in his bare-knuckle debut, and now continuing right where he left off. Just trying to bull rush Arzano as Mattia Fonda ragdolling.
You know, they did a good job with that cut over the bright eye of Arzano, because that blood was going to come right into the eye, make it really difficult for him to see.
And both guys are just full of blood right now, right on top of us.
This is a bloodbath that Jason Voorhees or Michael Myers would be proud of right now. These guys going toe-to-toe in the Trigon.
You know, Paulie, if Fonda here comes up with an uppercut, it's an end of the night. Because he hasn't seen that angle.
Yeah.
And especially, Benny, when you mentioned that Arzano coming so wide with his punches might leave himself open for just that. Great action. More big shots here by Mattia Fonda, who's just fighting in the phone booth here, guys.
You know, Paulie, sometimes it's good to air it out. Take that step back and then come back in.
I think so, but again, I think Fonda's best advantage, as he's dripping blood here from the eye, his best advantage is to have this nervous energy, because I don't know if he's capable of being calm enough to pick his spots. I think where he's having success is the mauling style. And I think if you give him time, I think Arzano is going to be the one to pick you apart, because he seems more comfortable in the stand-up position.
Fonda continues to close the gap. Paulie, if you're Arzano, what do you do to create some distance? Maybe use the jab.
Yeah, jab feint. I mean, now, you know, that first minute is expired, and now Arzano, Fonda's a little bit slowed down. Now is where Arzano has to take advantage of picking his spots wisely if he hasn't been broken down so much.
And Arzano now is starting to open his mouth, and that could be a problem, because then your jaw gets exposed.
Makes you susceptible to the knockout. Coming up on 1 minute here in round 2, which is unfamiliar territory in many a BYB bout.
And you know, folks, there's nothing wrong with your monitor. That's red blood coming out of both of these guys.
Yeah. Don't need to adjust the color settings.
And credit to Fonda, man. You can see he's getting tired, but he's still pushing it. He's still pushing it. A lot of character in this guy, and a lot of heart.
You know, and really overcoming the disadvantage when it comes to stand-up experience, because that's solely in the corner of Arzano, but taking that advantage away.
Yeah, I see him. I see him starting to break down Arzano. There it is. Arzano goes down, right as I was saying that.
This has been an absolute war of attrition. Arzano down there. See if he can answer the count here.
You know, the heart these guys have just absolutely blows my mind. Because anybody else would quit here. These guys don't know how to quit.
Arzano showing that fighting spirit. He's going to fight on. Can he weather the storm? Only seconds remaining in the round. He goes down again. And remember, no 3 knockdown rule, but he's been down twice.
Stop the fight.
That's going to do it.
Stops the fight, Tom.
This one is in the books. Wow. What an aggressive performance by the Reaper, Mattia Fonda.
And credit to him, he knows who he is and who he's not. He wasn't going to make this a tactical fight. He knew, you know what, I've been working on stand-up for 6 months. I know I'm aggressive. I know I want to win. I mean, let my personality come out in the fight. And the personality was aggression and almost an angry style. But he stayed on top of Arzano until he broke down the more technical fighter.
I got to ask you this, Benny. Do you think this might be the type of strategy we see by Sarah Click in our main event to nullify the boxing skills of Patty Juarez?
Exactly, but the difference being Patty is very adept at being able to spin out of there, and she will not go in that corner. She's going to stay in the very middle of that trigon and not getting in that corner, and that's exactly what Fonda did. Fonda managed to put Arzano in that corner, and then he was never able to get out of there, and that's where he took the beating, Paulie.
Yeah, I think Sarah's gonna have to be a mixture of technical and aggressive, because Patty will also make you pay when you miss. I didn't see Arzano making Fonda pay as much. You got to give a guy who's that aggressive, you got to give him reasons to be doubting his aggression, and the only way you do that is with sharp counterpunching as well.
And Mattia Fonda, I mean, you can look at him too. He was in a fight. This was a knockdown, drag-out brawl. But Mattia Fonda also, guys, had to drop an enormous amount of weight to get down to this weight class. Certainly didn't have any energy depletion in this fight.
Wrestling style, right? Wrestling style weight making, as I've heard from my friends in MMA and wrestling. They have their special ways of dropping tons of weight and then coming in and doing the job.
No, that word cutting weight is an absolute nightmare when I think about it. I remember when I played Pop Warner football, I used to have to cut weight. And I thought, oh man, that's why I never got into wrestling.
I think I'd have to cut off an appendage to drop 30 pounds to make the weight class. But wow, what a way to kick things off here. 'Tis the season to brawl. Well, gentlemen, I guess. Unbelievable, as we're going to make it all official here momentarily. That was an absolute sprint from the opening bell.
And you know, this is what Bareknuckle's all about. You're going to get guys cut up. You're going to get guys that are going to be bloody. But look at these guys. They're hugging each other right now. Gentlemen all the way to the very end. But again, 2 guys that are just heart of warriors.
We're going to relive some of the action. Yep, you see the sportsmanship here, a pillar of this great sport. Let's look back at the action here, gentlemen. Just that blitzing offense continued throughout the fight by Mattia Fonda.
Well, I thought what Fonda did good right there, Paul. He got down. Yeah. He got down, and it's very tough to punch at a guy when he's down low, because you got to come down. He would go down, and then he'd get the turn around from his hips, come up with that power.
And here, we're leading up to the first knockdown here, just throwing punches. Nice straight right hand, and down goes Arzano.
Yeah, and I think that was just accumulation, breaking down of Arzano, you know. I think Fonda's energy eventually just blew over Arzano, and it wasn't up that particular shot. I think it was just the shots landed, and also the fact that Arzano started to feel like, I can't get this guy off of me, and I can't deal with this anymore if this keeps going. And here at the end of the fight here, final combination, there's a big shot that finally ended. I think Arzano was just trying to get out of the round, and it was he almost did, and then Fonda landed another big shot, and Arzano again. I don't think it was that particular shot in general, but it was just another big shot, and he's just like, I can't keep taking this.
All right, let's make it all official. Back into the Trigon, Big Mo.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Bobby Wambacher calls a stop to this contest at 2 minutes, 59 seconds of the second round, declaring your winner by TKO, Mattia the Reaper Fonda.
BYB and Bareknuckle debut victory for Mattia Fonda. TKO win was all over Arzano like a cheap suit, which Benny would know nothing about. And
cheap suit, huh? I borrow mine, man. I get it from the dry cleaners. I got to have it back by tomorrow.
There you go. Put it back on the carousel. Here you see Scott Burt of the Bareknuckle Boxing Hall of Fame adorning the winner with that medallion. It was forged from a 1950s mold, and those medallions affectionately known as the Knucklehead.
There you go. And they're all numbered.
Where do I go? What's they are, and This victory will be put in a ledger in New York. And great victory there by Mattia Fonda, and our broadcast colleagues, Dave Ryan, Claudia Trejos, standing by, guys. What did you think of that action? What a brawl.
Wow, Todd, Claudia, all I can say is wow.
Wow.
The Reaper, maybe the Ripper is a better nickname for Mattia Fonda. I thought he came out like gangbusters. He was so aggressive. He was so energetic early, and that carried him to victory. Claudia, I thought tonight this was a bloody fight. This was an entertaining fight to begin the evening.
Interestingly enough, he was the smaller guy in the Trigon, yet he was the more aggressive. He was the one looking for the damage. And obviously at this point in time, Lorenzo didn't have the answer for it. And I think he gassed out. He couldn't keep up with the rhythm and the tempo that Fonda had to give.
29 years old versus 42 years old.
Yeah.
In your mind, something we talked about today when discussing this fight, how big a factor was that?
Absolutely. I think age, like it or not, especially in fighters, it's one day they're up to par. They can actually keep instinctively with the rhythm, and one day it just falls on them. It's not a gradual thing. It's one day they actually feel the weight. They have to think of what they're doing, and the minute that you think, that's the minute that you open up for that situation where you get cut.
Mattia Fonda, born in Italy. That is not a boxing or bare knuckle boxing country. It's about soccer there. He's clearly a very good fighter. This is a guy who's overcome so much. He was homeless for a while. He moved to Tampa from the South Florida area, eventually got full custody of his 6-year-old daughter. He's back in Wisconsin, where he's originally from. This man has come a long way.
I'm going to revert to something that our colleague Paulie explained to us about the spirit of a fighter. You can actually see the kind of person the gentleman is in the ring. And this is a man that has fought for everything he has in life, starting with his daughter. And the fight game was the one that brought him to be able to provide for his kid. So you can actually see the struggle, the grit, the spirit, and just the sheer gladiator he has in his spirit.
We talked about this, Claudia, top of the broadcast. I can't wait for the heavyweights. How about you?
Oh,
excited?
My God, yes.
This is going to be fun. Stephen Townsend head-to-head with Jordan Mitchell. Let's learn more about the rough exterior but soft interior of Stephen Townsend.
Steve Tomahawk Townsend. I fight out of Fort Pierce, Florida. I'm 41 right now. When I was 35 years old, I stopped playing football. Never had any combat sports training before that. Never wanted to get punched in the face before that. Got punched for my first time in a MMA training background, and I haven't left. So you have the explosiveness of football is what I've brought to this sport. I'm a very explosive fighter. I'm an in-your-face fighter, and I'm straightforward. I'm coming to you with it all. It's where I belong. Every time I step out, every time I hear my walkout song and the lights hit my face as I step out of that little cave and tunnel, the crowd's screaming, they're screaming your name. Whether they're with you or against you, you know, I'm 41 now, and I belong here. Now that I'm doing bare knuckle, everything's changed a little bit. Still throwing with force, I'm still throwing with power, but it's more precision. I just gotta hit you. Opponents, I mean, they're just gonna be opponents. They're different from the last fight they fought. I'm looking forward to fighting them. Stepping in that Trigon, I'm bringing it all to you. It won't go out the first round. You already know what time it is. End of the night, my hand's getting raised. Enough said.
Clearly, he's ready to fight. This is going to be a great matchup. Stephen Townsend with Cherokee Native American heritage. His background, grew up in Alabama, very difficult family life. He's moved around a lot. He's faced some serious out of the Trigon issues. He's overcome them all. Jordan Mitchell, father of 6. He is the Iron Man. That's his nickname. Both former football players we talked about, tough guys.
They're both tough guys. They're both, I want to call them gentle giants, because we already see there's a soft side to Townsend, but there's also a soft side to Mitchell. When they both speak about their kids, they see that's the reason for them being in the Trigon. But let's talk about the factors that will play in this fight. Size does matter. You might not agree. I'm sorry. It does matter.
It's okay.
Jordan Mitchell took the scale to 261 pounds. and he's expecting to go down to 206, 210 max, but he's at a heavy weight. How does that work for him? You can actually go in a clinch and dirty fight and use your weight to just weigh down your opponent. Townsend, being the shorter guy with less experience in MMA, will have to take him off and then be aggressive. So that's 2 jobs for Townsend, only 1 job for Mitchell.
What's better, Claudia? The heavyweights. Let's meet the fighters. Let's go back to the Trigon with Big Mo.
Ladies and gentlemen, our next bout on the card is scheduled for 5 3-minute rounds in the heavyweight division. Introducing first and making his way to the Trigon and fighting out of the blue corner, please welcome Jordan Mitchell.
Well, we kick things off with one heck of a brawl, and this should be no different. A battle of the big men in the heavyweight division. And here you see Iron Man Jordan Mitchell, undefeated in bare knuckle competition. It was a 22-second victory over Dwayne Crespo Jr. He's got MMA experience as well. In fact, gentlemen, all of his MMA victories coming by way of knockout.
Yeah. I mean, both of these guys tonight have that aggressive mentality inside the Trigon. You know, one thing about heavier guys, heavyweights, most of them don't have that ability to fight going backwards. There's not many Alis once you're that big, many Muhammad Alis when you're that big. So in a small space like the Trigon, once you're seeing these 2 guys come at each other, if anybody's backing up, I assure you it's not tactical. It's because the other guy's backing one up. So let's see who gains the advantage.
And you know, and Jordan Mitchell's going to be the quicker of the 2 fighters. This is a guy that at age 17, he jumped in, broke up his friend's fight. Next thing you know, everybody's calling him Iron Man because he was so quick in the way he was able to fight. But here's the thing. Quickness can be overcome in this Trigon by being aggressive. If you go straight forward, you know, and you don't take that step back, you can overcome quickness.
Oh, and I think both these guys, these 2 big heavyweight brawlers, will go straight forward. Fight that could take place on the gridiron, the classic rivalry of offensive linemen, which Jordan Mitchell was, and defensive end, which Tomahawk's Stephen Townsend was. But this is a fight that could happen on Skull Island or the streets of Tokyo. It's a monster mash as we await his opponent.
And his opponent fighting out of the red corner and making his way to the Trigon, please welcome Stephen Townsend.
Stephen Tomahawk Townsend saying that this one would not go out of the first round. And I'll tell you what, an incredible athlete, you know, 41 years of age, but a former semi-pro football player, gave it up at 35 and then turned his sights on combat sports. Now, he didn't have much in the way of opposition last time out in Mike Cook. You called that fight, Paulie, but we did see just how quick the hands are of the big man.
Yeah, and you saw his mentality, his aggression, his, you know, killer instinct in there. You know, you got to have that mean streak. And I think both of these guys are kind of tailor-made for each other now. I think they both mirror each other in the mentality once the bell rings, and I think that's why this fight's going to be fun. But I don't expect it to last very long.
And you know, so many football players now, like Aaron Donald being one of the premier guys on that, they're using boxing now because the key is you got to keep, he plays defensive end. If you can keep that tackle's hands off of you, then you got a shot. And that's what he became very good at doing that. And you're going to see it. The guy's gone from a 285-pound defensive end to a 230-pound fighter.
Well, he's going to try and use that hand fighting like he's rushing the passer and going to try and rush his way to another victory. Undefeated here at BYB. Can Stephen Townsend keep that unblemished record? Certainly going to have tougher opposition this time out. Heavyweight clash coming your way on BYB 8. Here to set the stage, Big Mo.
Ladies and gentlemen, this heavyweight bare knuckle bout is presented by the Bare Knuckle Boxing Hall of Fame. Let's meet the fighters. First, fighting out of the blue corner. He stands 6 feet tall, weighing in at 263 pounds. He holds a bare knuckle record of 1 win, 0 losses. And he fights out of Marion, Indiana. Introducing Jordan Iron Man Mitchell. And his opponent fighting out of the red corner. He stands 6 feet 2 inches tall, weighing in at 231 pounds. He holds an undefeated bare knuckle record of 1 win, 0 losses. referee in charge, Sam Burgos.
Gentlemen, remember, get the instruction in the back. Obey my command. Protect yourself at all times. Touch him if you like. Toes in the corner. Toes to the line, gentlemen. Toes to the line.
Tail of the tape, battle of the big men, both undefeated. The O's got to go for one of them, Paulie.
Yep, Mitchell 10 years younger. Also seeing Townsend lining up in the southpaw stance. We may have a right-hander versus southpaw fight. You got to watch the head clashes. Got to watch this tripping of the feet. Mitchell with the maybe the shorter guy, but he's heavier and he's got a bit of more of a reach.
What do you make of that weight of Mitchell? 263 pounds. Is that help or hindrance?
Well, we're going to find out. As far as you know, you look at the boy carrying that weight in the midsection.
Some big shots being landed. He landed a couple of good shots there, Mitchell, and Townsend standing up.
This could be one big bomb away from being over. Townsend goes down.
And now I told you about the quickness. He's got some quick hands. Does Mitchell? It almost surprises you the way he brings it.
I thought it would surprise me, the fact that Townsend took the first one. I mean, Mitchell landed a big shot a few seconds before, and Townsend took it. Now Townsend's still fighting back.
Townsend bull rushing here, trying to answer, and Kai needs a shot. Goes down again.
No 3 knockdown rule, so you can just keep right on going. Sam, the referee here is right on top of it.
And I'll tell you, stamina comes into play when it's this fast of a pace, but Mitchell getting a rest every time he gets a knockdown.
Boy, he loaded up. He practically sent him an email.
They both go down. Looks like the end of Rocky 2. But a lot bigger opponents here. We'll see if Townsend can get up. Well, the referee waving it off. Sportsmanship.
That's great respect, man. They just went at it. That's great respect, man.
That's probably why Dave Ryan wanted that big heavyweight.
Man,
these guys
that
bring
was a fight. These are two badasses. Can we say that?
I think we can. I mean, it was like two Kodiak bears that looked like something from the Discovery Channel.
And I love the respect. I love the respect at Center Trigon now. You know what? That was some action. There's some. You know what? You got to be pretty rough to come from Marion, Indiana. They got the penitentiary there.
They do. And
federal penitentiary, guys.
But you know what? Everything heavy in these guys, they brought in their punches. Man, they loaded up. It was an amazing thing. And I mean, like, the first one there by Townsend, it's almost like he sent him an email. I'm coming with his right hand, and it started on one end of the server to the other.
Man, I'll tell you, the only thing I'm disappointed in is that it didn't last longer. Not just for I get to miss some of the action, but also I wanted to see how their stamina will hold up, because they were not saving any energy. I wanted to see how this would wind up if this continued.
We'll file that one under. It was fun while it lasted. It was a spectacle, that is for sure. And you can see the emotion here by Jordan Mitchell. Both of these fighters, as Dave touched on, proud fathers fighting to give their kids a better life. So an emotional win here for Mitchell, and it's going to be a tough loss for Townsend.
10 kids total between these two guys.
You're absolutely correct.
Mitchell's got 6, and then Townsend's got 4.
I'll tell you, I think people are going to want to watch them again. This thing lasted, I don't know, did it last a minute? But I think people are going to want to watch both of these guys again. I'm not saying necessarily against each other, but I think people will want to watch Townsend again, and people will want to watch Mitchell again against other opponents.
Well, Mitchell remains undefeated in bare knuckle competition, now 2-0. Townsend at 500, 1-1. I'd love to see Tomahawk climb back in.
Well, Mitchell had a very quick ending to his first fight, too.
Yeah.
So he brings it right off the bat, loads up. And again, but he's so much quicker than you think he is.
And this one also, Benny, you know what? Both of these guys had a better opponent in front of each other. Because both of their first fights, I saw both of their first fights. The resistance wasn't much by the opposition. They got a quick first-round knockout of their first fight, but it wasn't much resistance on the opposition. This time, they both resisted each other. So you had to earn this first-round KO. This was a battle for however long it lasted.
That was a big-time head-on collision between two titans. And wow, fun to watch, and we're going to make it all official. We're going to head back into the Trigon with Big Mo here. I think he's getting the official time, getting it all together. Mo, take it away.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Sam Burgos calls a stop to this contest at 56 seconds of the very first round, declaring your winner by TKO, Jordan Iron Man.
Left hand. He's in a lot of pain there, Paulie. And you know about hand pain more than anybody.
Adrenaline can only do so much here. But, it's certainly the victory's got to help a little bit. Scott Burt there giving him the knucklehead, that medallion from the Bareknuckle Boxing Hall of Fame.
I can't help but to wonder what would have happened if the fight would have continued with that left hand being what it is.
Yeah, now that we know that too. And that's the thing, I mean, hand issues, when you're throwing like that.
Let's take a look back at the action here. What a spectacle it was, throwing bombs, both big guys.
Look at the reckless abandon the shots are being thrown with.
Can I see that left hand? Now watch him start shaking that left.
Great call. That one hurt him, right on that big dome of tomahawk. Big right hook there by Iron Man, coming up the middle with the uppercut as well.
And you notice that right hand, Paulie, he didn't really land with the knuckle. It's almost like the side of his hand.
Like, again, this is how you hurt your hands. I mean, they're throwing with reckless abandon like this. Look at the way these shots are coming. There's not a lot of technique being thrown. You're just haymaker shots with bare hands. It's not going to be. It's not going to be. It's going to be pretty heavy on your hands. Let me say, it's not going to be that soft on your hands.
What a moment that was when they both went down. These guys, they're not throwing fists, they're throwing canned hams. Bob Alexandre standing by with the winner.
Thank you, Tom. We're with the winner, Jordan Mitchell, winner in the first round. Jordan, you got off to a fast start. Was that your game plan, to try and catch him before he catches you?
Yeah, because my cardio wasn't the best for this fight. I've been battling a lot of stuff. I've been dealing with depression, losing my grandma and one of my buddies died just the other day because he got hit in the hit and run. So, I was waiting on my shoulders, and I was just, I'm sorry, I'm emotional.
I totally understand after a win like that, but you came out so fast. You seem to have the advantage with the hand speed. Did you think that going in you'd have that advantage?
Yeah, I know my experience would come into play. Yeah, he's older, but I've been fighting for 12 years now. In the cage, boxing rings, I'm doing all of it. So I knew my hand speed would be faster than his.
What do you think is going to be next for you in 2022?
Man, hopefully I'll get that title. Man, whoever's next, put them in line, they get knocked down. That's simple.
Well, congratulations, a great win. Jordan Mitchell, your winner in the first round.
Shauna, Kenzie, all my 6 kids, I'm sorry. Daddy's coming home, I'll be home soon.
A proud papa, and I'm sure they're proud of their dad, the Iron Man, Jordan Mitchell, with a big victory, getting it done, and as he mentioned, overcoming a lot of emotion, a lot of adversity, and there you see it. It was all worth it, though, to get his hand raised in this heavyweight clash. Claudia, Dave, your thoughts? Dave, did it live up to your expectations?
Fast and furious.
Yes.
I mean, Claudia, those heavyweights went at each other very quickly. Jordan Mitchell had a game plan, as he just talked about with Bob a moment ago. That was to come out with a flurry, unload on his opponent, which he did with such incredible precision and effectiveness, and give Stephen Townsend some credit. There's no 3 knockdown rule, BYB Extreme. He could have kept getting up until that fight was called. Lots of guts out there.
Yes, absolutely. And shout out to Sam Burgos. He did a great job at just stopping the action, because the truth was, at that point in time, Townsend was out of weapons. He had no more artillery in his bag of tricks. Let's call a spade a spade. Mitchell has the experience, 12 years in the fighting game. Second, the speed. I did not see that coming. I saw the size, I saw the aggression, I saw the technique, but the speed was there, up to par. And I was highly impressed, not just by his power, because they were both showing some serious haymakers, but the speed was the one that took Townsend by surprise.
Have you ever seen 261 pounds move that fast?
No.
I mean, at the start of the fight.
Big guys being
amazing.
nimble. Yes.
Amazing, and good for him. But the shout out, so emotional, as we talked about. He's a family man, the 6 kids. Daddy's coming home with a victory. Let's move on now. Jeff Chiffons, Carlos Guerra, El Diamante. We interviewed him yesterday in Spanish. It means diamond. He talked about it yesterday with us. Why the nickname? Well, a couple reasons. Diamonds are forever. I will fight you forever. And also, how's a diamond made? Heat, pressure, time. Comes out with a beautiful gem.
Yes, he did. Indeed. As a matter of fact, coming from a country that has given us so many world champions in the world of boxing, he actually took a sidestep and decided to go for mixed martial arts, trained by his own father, and not really knowing much about martial arts in general. So talk about blood, sweat, and tears. This is what he's done. And in his last fight, he said, I need to get this done as soon as I can, and I gotta finish as clean as possible because I have another fight coming up in 2 weeks. So talk about grit and just dedication. He was counting on and betting on himself, his skills, his ability, his stamina, because they said, well, they really don't understand what I do. My background is Muay Thai, which requires a lot. My stance is gonna throw them off, but more important, I got roots in the world of fighting, and that will never be changed. As a good Mexican, he's gonna give us a show.
And let's not look past Jeff Chiffons. He's out of Delaware. He's a roofer by trade, so in the cold December days and nights, he's working 10 hours a day on a roof. He's done that for several months now. He said the training part of his life and fighting is the easiest part. It's not hard labor. He wants to give Guerra a hard time tonight.
Absolutely, and the one thing that caught my attention is in this last conversation, he said, well, I finally joined the gym, and I got people on speed dial that are watching my training, giving me pointers, because for his last fight against Desmond Green, we saw his, I don't want to say his blind spots, but the lack of training, the lack of somebody just keeping fresh eyes on his training. And that, he said, I work with other people that showed me what I can do when things are coming up. Now, Desmond Green is of a completely different level and put Chiffons in the spot that he deserves to be. Now, does he have what it takes to take somebody like Diamante Guerra? We'll see.
We're going to find out pretty soon. Yeah. Let's learn more about El Diamante. Carlos Guerra.
Mi nombre es Carlos Guerra, vengo de Cape Coral, representando también a México. Y contra quién voy a pelear, no lo sé, eso no es importante, ya que es una pelea más. A los 13 años sabía que iba a ser un peleador. A los 19 años debuté en Muay Thai y desde ahí quería ser el campeón del mundo. Perdí por decisión, fue una dura pelea contra alguien muy experimentado, pero desde ahí fue como tengo que ir a trabajar más al gimnasio. Mi opinión del Triángulo de la Muerte, creo que a mí me llamó mucho la atención porque no hay espacio para correr, sino solo para soltar golpes, ser inteligente. En cuestión de segundos he peleado MMA, Muay Thai y no se compara. El Triángulo es algo que uno no puede, como dicen, no blink, porque tienes que estar atento. El coach me llamó, me dijo, hay una pelea, pero sin guantes. Y yo dije, ok, no importa, es pelea. ¿Cómo se sienten? Pues siente uno toda su cara o todo el estómago. La primera pelea rompí mi mano, segunda pelea encontré ese punto, más precisión. Espero que sea una guerra, que venga para adelante como lo hace, que yo lo voy a estar esperando. Jeff, vamos por una guerra. Nos vemos este viernes. Listo.
Carlos Guerra, El Diamante, finesse, technique, experience, fighting excellence in many disciplines. Jeff Chiffons, his nickname is Hungry. How hungry is he going to be? Is he going to be the nail or the hammer tonight? What's the roofer going to do?
I want to know what kind of nail he's going to be, because we've always said he's tough as nails. So we want to see what kind of nail. Is he like drywall nail, or is he a cement nail? What kind of nail is he? But moreover, that old saying, skills pays the bills. Guerra needs to make sure his skills are up to par, his position is there, because just like the last time he had a commitment 2 weeks later, he's got a commitment, not here, but in England, in less than a month.
We can't wait for this fight tonight here in Miami. Back to the Trigon and Big Mo.
Ladies and gentlemen, our third bout on the card is scheduled for 5 3-minute rounds in the welterweight division. Introducing first, making his way to the Trigon and fighting out of the blue corner, please welcome Carlos Guerra.
You would be hard-pressed to find any competitor who's on more of a hot streak here in BYB Extreme than Diamante Carlos Guerra. He's a perfect 3-0. All those those fights right here in BYB. Let's run them down. BYB 7, a round 1 knockout over John Bertson with that picture-perfect counter uppercut. Prior to that, a round 2 KO over Jason Cortez. That, he found himself in a bit of a war, did Guerra. And at BYB 5, a round 1 victory over Christopher Gonzalez. Impressive thus far, gentlemen.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, this guy is calm, collected. Seems like he enjoys himself in there, you know. He doesn't fight angry like a lot of these bare knuckle fights wind up being. Fights very calculated, very, very under control, mean streak. But when he hits you, you can tell it's mean because he's getting guys out of there even with one shot like we saw against Birdsong.
And he's got that Muay Thai background as well. Sometimes we see him get that underhook and kind of throw his opponents around, which demoralizes them, if nothing else, Benny.
Yeah, and what stuck with me from that interview with Claudia is the fact that he calls this the triangle of death. I mean, that's pretty impressive. The triangle of death, you know, he's going to bring everything he's got to. This guy's a great technician, and he's really got a chance to do something really phenomenal because after this fight, he's going to go to England and fight in England to represent BYB there.
Absolutely. We're going to see Barrie Jones make his way from the UK Indian competition against Luis Melo. And, yep, you're right. Carlos Guerra, one of the two fighters, handpicked by Mike Vasquez and to make the trip over to the UK, so a big honor. Here we go.
And his opponent, fighting out of the red corner, please welcome to the Trigon, Jeff Chiffons.
Dave and Claudia, all that nail talk, I think they're going to build a brand new set by the time we get to them in the next segment, but they're right. Jeff Chiffons, you know, a proud 4-year Navy vet. This guy never met a fight he didn't like. He's 3-4 in bare knuckle. All his 3 wins by knockout or TKO. 2 in the first round, including a win back at USA versus Russia over Roman Busov, a BYB 5 round 1 win over Ryan Faval. And, you know, he was the first to run into the buzzsaw that is Desmond the Predator Green, an unenviable task. Do you think that Chiffons can bounce back?
Well, that's the thing, you know, sometimes you take a bounce back fight and, you know, it's a little bit of a confidence building opponent, you know, an opponent that you can kind of feel your way through and get your confidence back, but that's not the case with Jeff Chiffons, man. I mean, going in, getting back in the ring in the Trigon against Carlos Guerra after having just been up against Desmond Green, there's no soul patches there, man.
It's a murderer's row, that's for sure.
And Tom, one of the smart things he's done was he walks around at 150, and he was fighting at 155. He had no business fighting at 155. So now he's come down to 145, and I think that's a much better weight for him.
We'll see if the power becomes a factor as he goes down a weight class. Chiffons versus Diamante. Big Mo set the stage.
Ladies and gentlemen, this welterweight bare knuckle bout is brought to you by MMA Coin. Let's meet the fighters. First, fighting out of the blue corner. He stands 5 feet 8 inches tall, weighing in at 145 pounds. He holds an undefeated bare knuckle record of 3 wins, 0 losses, and he fights out of Cape Coral, Florida, by way of Mexico City, Mexico. His opponent fighting out of the red corner. He stands 5 feet 9 inches tall, weighing in at 144 pounds. He holds a bare knuckle record of 3 wins, 4 losses, and he fights out of Wilmington, Delaware. Introducing Jeff Hungry Chiffons. Our referee in charge, Bobby Wambacher.
Jeff, over here. Over here. All right, gentlemen, you've been through the rules in the back. I expect a good, clean fight. Obey my commands at all times. Protect yourself at all times. Touch them up if you want. Stay right there, Jeff.
Stage is set. Guerra's been unstoppable, but Chiffons doesn't back down. Your thoughts, Paulie?
Well, you know what? Let's see how it starts out. Both of these guys, I think, are going to start out pretty tactical. You know, Guerra's a very technical fighter, and Chiffons also. You know, he doesn't just come reckless. He looks to fight tactically as well. So I think it's going to be the opposite of the start we had last fight between Mitchell and Townsell. And as you can see right away, very technical opening. We'll see how long that lasts, of course.
I agree with you, though, Paulie. I think Guerra does have some of the most precise boxing in all of BYB.
And you know what you're going to see also here, Todd, is his weight transfer. He really manages that kill zone very, very well. He knows how to create punching angles, and that's his Muay Thai experience. But the key for him is going to be to go ahead and bend those knees, and he's doing it. Don't be so upright.
Body shots by Chiffons, follows in.
And Chiffons tries to be technical here. He's got to be careful. He's got to use some feints or something because he's trying to take his time, but then he's kind of unsure of what he's doing. He's getting on the front foot with that jab, which is, I think, a no-no because it's going to set you up and walk you into a counter if you're not careful. But also, he's not really setting up off the outside. He's looking to reach in. He's got to be careful. There he's looking to touch now, and there he's again with a little bit of a lunge in. He's got to be careful walking into a counter. As Guerra seems a little more composed here.
And you know, Paulie, you know, these fighters for this fight had the option whether to wear the gloves or not wear the gloves. And of course, what happens is in your hand and in your wrist, you have those small bones, and usually that's what the taping does. So he chose just to go ahead and tape it up and not wear the gloves.
Yeah, and for the viewers at home, what we're talking about with gloves is the knuckles are still bare.
Right.
It's just the support for the wrist. That's why they have the gloves. The gloves get cut off at the knuckle, and the knuckle is still bare.
Little 1-2 combination by Chiffons, who does seem more comfortable, a little less frenetic thus far this time out.
He's got his hands a little bit lower than I like to have mine, but I mean, he should bring those things up. And then, you know, within that strike zone, Paulie, so when he comes in there, he doesn't come in so square.
He's reaching for that right hand to the stomach several different times. And Guerra hasn't gotten the hang of it yet. Guerra has blocked it, but he's not been able to react off it. As now Guerra starting to lead a little bit more.
You mentioned with those low hands, Paulie, last time out, you said he almost has that old school bare knuckle. You know, looking like the Fighting Irish mascot there.
Yeah, he's got a style all his own. Guerra tried to turn southpaw a few seconds ago. He got hit with a straight right hand, and that turned him back around into the orthodox stance.
Guerra throwing a combination there. Cool, calm, and collected. Guerra's got ice water running through his veins. He mentioned he doesn't care who his opponent is. He's going to go out there, do his job. Just another fight.
I'm already noticing a mouse over the right eye of Guerra. Boy, that's something he cannot afford, especially if he's got another fight in January.
Yeah, Guerra's going to be representing BYB, that partnership with BKB in the UK. He's going to travel over there and represent this company, fight over there in London, England. That coming up January 22nd. So, yeah, you don't want to eat a lot of damage here.
And, you know, Paulie, right now it seems like Chiffons.
Oh, big combination there by Guerra.
Playtime might be over here for Diamante with 10 seconds to go now in the first round. Coming on strong.
And I think that won him the round. Oh, look at that double spin. Look at that. What a move that was.
Oh, my goodness.
That's a highlight reel.
Say good night.
Wow.
Serious style points for Diamante after out of the spin move. A beautiful knockout there. And hold on here. No. Oh, yeah, that's going to do it.
Stoppage. Wow. I tell you, you can't do a spin punch like you can in MMA, but you can punch and then come with the hook. I've seen Luis Palomino also do that in bare knuckle fighting. Carlos Guerra does it here. Insane.
There's that signature backflip. You know, I almost got overzealous like Goldie did the one time and called it before it was over, but it ended up, I mean, Chiffons so tough, tried to get back up, just couldn't.
I got a question now. With the cut here, is he going to be able to fight in a couple of weeks? He's got a Muay Thai fight in a few weeks, and then he's supposed to go to England at the end of January for the other bare knuckle fight at BKB in England. Is he going to be able to do it with the cut over his eye?
Yeah. You can't say Guerra, you know, isn't active, that's for sure. We will see.
I thought Robert Wambacher, the referee, did a great job. Because you could notice that even when he got up, he was already wobbly. And again, I always say, better to stop it early than late.
He worked his way into the round so well. I was going to give Chiffons the round. And then at the end of the round, you get that nice combination that started with a few body shots, and he brought it up to the head with a good combination. And that kind of got Chiffons a little bit defensive. And before Chiffons could even settle back in after taking that combination, the ensuing combination comes from that spinning momentum that started everything. Insane. I can't wait to see the replay.
It's almost like that fuse hit right when the mallet hit for the 10 seconds, and then just turned on the gas, did Diamante Guerra. What do you make of that spin move that then led to the combination? Did he just catch Chiffons off guard?
I mean, the spin move, you can't throw the spin punch off it, right? But you're allowed to use the spin to gain your momentum for the hook. Like I said, I've seen Luis Palomino do it as well, and it has worked for him too. I hadn't seen anybody else try it. Guerra not only did it, but the ensuing combination, he was able to work off of that spin, ended the fight.
And you know, just what I said, you're seeing that Chiffons is easy to hit because he was coming in square shoulder. And sure enough, that's when he come in with that combination and then got him with that. But Chiffons was fighting a great fight up to then.
Yeah, and I tell you, Benny, I think he was still recovering from the combination he'd just taken. He was still trying to settle back in because Guerra had gotten off a very nice combination just before that.
Incredible. Then hit the signature backflip for even more style points as we're going to head back into the Trigon to make it all official. Unbelievable, guys. Just what a knockout. Oh, we're going to take a one second.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Bobby Wambacher calls a stop to this contest at 2 minutes, 59 seconds of the very first round, declaring your winner by TKO, Carlos Diamante Guerra.
Another first round finish. Guerra's only been to the second round one time. And another just highlight reel knockout, guys. Again, as Bob Alexandre standing by, going to get a word with Diamante.
Congratulations. And you did both.
There you go.
Coach.
Thank you, Todd. We are with the winner. Carlos Guerra gets the knockout at the end of the first round, stays undefeated. Carlos, you came out boxing instead of brawling. And at the end of the round, you started letting your hands go. Talk about the end of the fight, that incredible move you made, and then the knockout punch.
Entendiste lo que dijo, ¿verdad? Que no saliste a pelear loco, inteligente, y al final tiraste...
Game plan.
Yeah, he's saying basically listen to the game plan. It was the box, use a little bit of movement, try to get Jeff to come out and start throwing, and then try to counter.
Now, you got a little tiny cut on top of your head. Does that bother you at all? Are you worried about that going forward?
Si la cortada te molesta o qué tú piensas? No.
Es una cicatriz de guerra.
Yeah, he said no, it's just a scratch from war.
Now, you've got a lot coming up in 2022. You're actually going over to England to represent BYB in their new partnership with BKB. What do you think about going over to fight in England?
¿Qué piensas en ir allí y representar este evento?
One more KO.
Yes.
Short but sweet. That's the prediction from Carlos Guerra. Congratulations for the win.
Thank you so much. ¡Viva México, cabrones!
There you have it, prediction. One more knockout in England. What do you think they'll make of that backflip if he gets the victory?
You did not need an interpreter to understand that statement.
I love the interpretation for the first answer. He said game plan, and then the interpreter gave like 2 sentences.
Well, he's the game plan coordinator.
Let's see, have a look at the end of the fight. Look at that. You see, he used the spin to get close, to close the gap. And that ensuing combination. I think Chiffons was more looked like he was admiring the spin. Nothing landed off the spin, but it cut the gap. It closed the distance. And the ensuing combination was lethal.
2-punch combination that was anesthesia.
I mean, 6'6". I mean, he closed the gap with the spin, and then he got off a bunch of shots. And even on the way down, you see Chiffons taking another uppercut on the way down. I'm not sure the fight would have ended just on the hook, but to give him another uppercut for good measure on the way down as well.
And you know, he was in such a perfect position, Todd, the way he had his knees bent, the hips were down, so he could explode right into it.
Here it is again.
See what?
Hook, straight right, body shots.
There's that hook. Here's
uppercut on the way down. He's going down right from the hook, and the uppercut gets him too. And you, again, the impressive thing for me, something you don't see in regular boxing, traditional boxing, he closed the gap on that spin. That spin, he didn't throw anything off of it, but that spin suddenly presented him right in front of Chiffons. I think Chiffons was even surprised, and he didn't react defensively in time.
Bewildered Chiffons, and there you see it. Style points with the back flip. And you're right, Benny, Chiffons, after that spin, was standing square, standing straight up.
And then for all you soccer fans, football fans, Cristiano Ronaldo on the end. You see, he did the Cristiano Ronaldo goal celebration as well.
I love it. Certainly proud of his heritage. repping Mexico City, and he'll be repping BYB in London, England. MMA coin is going to be given out at 1 million MMA coin to the winner of Knockout of the Night. And I gotta wonder, guys, and Dave and Claudia up there, we got a real candidate for Knockout of the Night here so far.
Gentlemen, that was absolutely awesome. So, Claudia, if we're keeping score so far, blue corner 3, red corner nothing. Carlos Guerra, 4 wins in the Trigon, no losses. Awesome tonight. Very end of the first round, that's when he gets the knockout of Jeff Chiffons. He waited till the last moment of the first. We almost had the bell, but he got the job done.
Well, he mentioned it in our fighter meetings that he wanted to just give us a show, give us a reason why we wanted to watch somebody like Carlos Diamante Guerra. And that spin, I think that clinched it all. The spin and then the uppercut just called it quits. And he knew that he wants to not only make a statement tonight, he wants to make a statement in general in BYB. And he wants to make us proud once he goes into England, being a true representative of BYB.
That spin move was memorable. The backflip, also memorable. This is a tremendous athlete here.
Yes, yes, yes. And let's not forget that at any given time, he was actually playing soccer as he was growing up. So an athlete is an athlete is an athlete.
Great to watch. We have more amazing fights coming up from here at BYB 8. What are we going to look forward to? These two gentlemen, Claudia, Tegan Franco, wrestling background, All-American wrestler, Oklahoma City College, also at JUCO in Washington State, where he's from. Jeremy Smith from Joburg, Johannesburg, South Africa. He came to the United States to live here in South Florida in January. He is new to the Trigon.
Yes, but he's not new to the fight game. Has almost 20 fights in MMA, experience in K1. So this is a gentleman that understands what it takes to be in short quarters, because he was also mentioning that the rings that he's used to fighting in are very tight. So he's used to aggression, he's used to coming forward, he's used to looking for the fight. And this is what he needs to do tonight if he wants to make an impression.
Tegan Franco has been in BYB Extreme before. Hollywood, Florida, had an experience in BYB 3. It didn't go so well. He lost in the 3rd round.
Yes.
This was someone who took a fight on about 24 hours notice. Conditioning wasn't there from a wrestling background. He told us yesterday he's ready now.
Yes, and he made the necessary changes. He understands competition. He understands the sacrifices and the requirements, because he does have an extensive background in wrestling, almost 12 years in wrestling. So he understands what it is to make weight, yada, yada, day of, usually in wrestling. So he had no problem with that. The conditioning, though, he said you can grapple with somebody for 3 minutes, but just throw punches for a minute straight. That will wear you out. And if you only had 24 hours notice, you're not prepared for that. So he made the necessary changes, his stance, looking for somebody that would perfection his striking, and he's bringing that all out tonight against a fighter that has lots and lots of experience.
Let's learn more about Jeremy Smith.
My name is Jeremy Smith. I'm from Johannesburg, South Africa, fighting Tegan Franco. I started fighting when I was about 18 years old. I always wanted to train and always wanted to fight. I started with K1 Muay Thai background, started with that. Yeah, this will be my first bare-knuckle fight. I've always wanted to do it, the bare-knuckle fighting, since I started seeing it getting publicized and televised. And so I've accomplished a lot in MMA, so now I'd like to transition over to the bare-knuckle. I came from quite a bit of a boxing background, so for me I think it will be a nice transition. This will obviously be my first fight in a Trigon. I like fighting in close quarters, because if you're fighting in like an octagon or hexagon, whatever, they can run around a lot more. Being in a confined, trapped environment benefits my style. I've seen quite a bit about my opponent. I know he's had a bare-knuckle fight before. Big guy, likes to punch hard, looks like a nice hitter, but yeah, I'm coming to fight. I took myself to my first joke. I always wanted to start, so I just took myself. I think you do learn a lot more from a loss. It teaches you to not give up, to just keep coming back. If you let the loss defeat you, that's it, you're over. But it's not a loss unless you don't get up. Looking forward to meeting you in the Trigon. Let's put on a good show, let's put on a good fight for the fans.
So it's the pit bull, Jeremy Smith from South Africa, head-to-head with Tegan killing him softly. Franco from Washington State. Social media platforms, BYB Extreme. We hope you log on. Of course, you're watching on YouTube now. Like, subscribe, and the voice of BYB Extreme, Mike Goldberg, unable to be here for this event. He'll return in March.
Absolutely. Goldie, I know you're not
Goldie?
here, but we have you. You're always with us. And of course, he couldn't miss it. So he's joining us via social media, and I love all those exchanges. Goldie's a whole lot of fun.
Plenty of comments in the
Yes.
chat section from Goldie. We know you're not being quiet. We know you're participating tonight, so get well soon, and we'll see you soon. Happy holidays to you and yours out west. Now, let's meet the fighters for our next event here with Big Mo.
Ladies and gentlemen, our next bout on the card is scheduled for 5 3-minute rounds in the cruiserweight division. Introducing first, making his way to the Trigon and fighting out of the blue corner. Please welcome Tegan Franco.
Tegan Franco killing him softly. We'll see if he can have the success. Got an extensive wrestling background, much like Mattia Fonda. And Franco, a two-time collegiate All-American, as Dave mentioned, from Oklahoma City. He's got a bare-knuckle fight under his belt. Said he gassed out, and he's been working hard at conditioning ever since to turn his fortunes around this time.
Yeah, you know, you got to pick up the momentum somewhere after coming off a negative streak. And tonight, what better night to start than tonight? Get a, national TV, BYB, and we'll see how far he takes it.
And the last fight that I saw him fight, he kept waiting. And that's kind of that wrestler's mentality, where you wait to get that takedown. In bare knuckle, you can't do that. So what he's really been working on is that the jab, to work off the jab and come in with a cross.
Yeah.
But he wants to close that space and make a good, tight fight.
And that's the thing about wrestlers. A lot of times they end up waiting, not because they don't want to fight or engage, but because they have trouble gauging the distance at which to punch at. Because when they're background, they can just rush their opponent and get in close. While in stand-up fighting and fist fighting, you got to find that proper distance and figure out that proper distance and not make a mistake to not walk into a counter. So the waiting is not for lack of enthusiasm for wanting to fight. A lot of times it's because they're overthinking.
So used to sprawling out as well to defend those takedown attempts. Somebody shooting in, but Tegan Franco looks to be in phenomenal condition and said that his style's precise counter-striking. We'll see if it comes to fruition as we await his opponent. Back into the Trigon with Big Mo.
And his opponent fighting out of the red corner. Please welcome to the Trigon, Jeremy Smith.
Jeremy Pitbull Smith making his bare knuckle debut, but he's got a wealth of high-level stand-up competition, gentlemen. 10-2 in K1 kickboxing all around the world, from Johannesburg, South Africa. In K1, he's got 9 KO victories, so a 90% knockout rate. And he said that most of those came by his hands, by his gloves, not by his feet in kickboxing.
So, if they came by his hands and glove and not by his feet, then you know what, he came to the right place, because all the knockouts you're going to get here are going to come by your hands. So we'll see how ready he feels without being able to use those kicks, because, they may have come with his hands, but in K1, you have the option to use your feet. Here, you don't have the option. You can only use your hands.
Should be well-versed in the clinch, however.
Absolutely. And Todd, what he said was, I watched this thing. It looked like fun. And he said, I'm a street fighter. This is the closest thing to street fighting, and that's what I love to do. Paulie talked about the fact that, the knockouts come from his fists, and this is the ideal arena. He's going to have a wrestler in front of him that's going to come at him. So I think for Jeremy Smith, this bodes really well as far as styles.
Yeah, when we spoke to Jeremy Smith yesterday, he seemed to indicate that this would be like a dream come true. He's used to fighting in tight quarters, and he's happy that he doesn't have to chase his opponent.
Well, that's the Trigon. You better try your God, and you don't have to go looking for anybody.
11-7 in the MMA cage as well. 9 finishes, an 82% finish rate. See if he can finish his opponent here in the Trigon. Big Mo, take it away.
Ladies and gentlemen, this cruiserweight bare knuckle bout is presented by the Bare Knuckle Boxing Hall of Fame. Let's meet the fighters. First, fighting out of the blue corner. He stands 5 feet 11 inches tall, weighing in at 195 pounds. He holds a bare knuckle record of 0 wins, 1 loss. And he fights out of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, by way of Spanaway, Washington. Introducing Tegan, killing him softly, Franco. And his opponent, fighting out of the red corner. He stands 5 feet 10 inches tall, weighing in at 195 pounds. He is making his bare knuckle debut, and he fights out of Sunrise, Florida, by way of Johannesburg, South Africa, Jeremy Smith. Our referee in charge, Sam Burgos.
All right, gentlemen, remember, get instruction in the back, obey my command, protect yourself at all times. Touch him if you like. All right, close your corner.
Stage is set for this cruiserweight battle as we take a look at the tail of the tape. 2-time All-American against the K1 vet. Paulie, your thoughts?
Yeah, you know, Smith a little bit older, same weight. Franco a little bit more reach, similar height. We'll see how it plays out here as the bell's about to ring.
I love almost the eerie calm of Jeremy Smith. Soft-spoken, but you know he can get it done in there.
And you know, K1, I think, gives him an advantage. That's a lot of experience there in K1. And so we're going to see right away what his upright position is.
Franco in the blue wraps taking on Jeremy Smith, fighting out of the red corner.
You can tell usually who the guys have had stand-up experience are. They don't usually attack at the bell. They usually start out a little bit tactically. You notice what Smith did at the bell. He took a step back and saw what Franco has to offer.
Shot there by Smith, and Franco not moving a fraction of an inch. Two just powerhouses when you look at the eye test here, Benny.
And Tegan, again, what he's really working on is to be early and get there. Don't wait around and don't back up, and he's backing up right now.
You can see the head movement of Smith there, trying to get in, trying to find an angle. Very elusive thus far, Paulie.
Yeah, interesting from Franco. He's fighting a technical fight. Usually I don't expect guys who come from wrestling to fight in retreat or in a technical way, but that's what Franco's given us so far.
And he's got that uppercut. He's looking for that uppercut to land. There it is.
Oh, but he threw it for too far away, and he got hit with the punch you got to be careful with if you throw an uppercut from too far away, and that's the overhand right.
Yeah, it looks like Jeremy Smith is going to do some head hunting, trying to knock this one out of the park, looking for that big overhand right. that's
And you know what? That overhand right's that's going to be the end of the fight. He lands that, it's going to be over.
Well, that's the question. If and when. So far, very cool, calm, and collected in there is Tegan Franco. Not like the wrestler we saw earlier in Mattia Fonda, who just threw with reckless aggression, was all over Artenzo. Combination here by Smith.
It's funny, Franco's nickname is Killing Him Softly, and it's not after Roberta Flack's song.
Very true. Got that when he first transitioned to combat sports from wrestling. They were sitting around grilling, having a few, and that's the nickname that stuck.
I thought he just liked the Fugees.
See that uppercut? He's got that sneaky uppercut, Franco. He never showed us that before.
Yeah, and it kind of bothered Smith a little bit, and now he's got some points away, some blood.
On the left eye, and it's above the eye, which means that blood's going to come down.
And he throws it very well, very short. You know, it doesn't get a lot of torque on it, but if Smith runs into it, it's going to do all the damage it needs, and that's what's happened.
Tegan Franco showing a lot of composure in there and making the big man miss. Those big right hands and that cut over the eye there, the blood, that's got to give a confidence builder for Franco as he now starts to close in. Cut off the trigon.
And Smith is feeling that blood because he's feeling that with that left hand.
Yeah. I'll tell you, he's not using the left cross. He goes in the southpaw stance and uses only the right hand. So obviously he's a natural right-hander, but I'm seeing opportunities where he could use the left cross here, and he's not throwing it at all.
Well, he seems to be protecting that left eye, Paulie, so he's not throwing as many punches as he started out.
No, I'm talking about Franco. He's got his guy in a position.
Working the body, though, is Jeremy Smith there in the last seconds. You see some class, some sportsmanship as the first round of action comes to close.
Now applause when the cut man is waiting. He's worth his weight in gold.
Let's take a look back at the action from round one. Only the second fight to go into round two tonight. So we take a look at the action between Franco and Smith.
Let's go. Red, let's go.
You know, Paulie, I'm not usually in favor of guys switching to a southpaw stance when they're, you know, right in. But it actually worked for Franco.
Yeah, and they see the simultaneous shots they threw there. Both came up a little short. You know, Franco came up a little short with the uppercut, and Smith came up a little short with that overhand right.
Got to tell you, that eye of Jeremy Smith looking pretty nasty there, guys.
It didn't look like they stopped the blood at all. That thing is still flowing.
And it's been causing, it's really renting space in the head of the K1 veteran.
I gotta say something, man. Franco's not using the left hand at all. He's turning southpaw. He's not using the left hand at all. I mean, usually I would say the left hand's hurt, but I don't know that he's used it the whole fight.
Yeah, but do you think he's doing that to land the right on that eye?
I mean, he could be laying the right the whole time, but he's not even feinting with the left hand. He's just not using it at all. He's gone in the southpaw stance. And
I think Doctor's saying he's not going to be able to continue with that laceration, guys. Wow.
Wow.
I'm sure Jeremy Smith not happy about that. I got to, really consider this somewhat of an upset just due to the stand-up experience that Smith had over his opponent.
But you know, Paulie, Tegan Franco, I'm impressed. Because when we saw him the last time, he waited. This time, he was actually a very technical fighter. I mean, that stunned us, how technical he was.
That was impressive. Franco's choice of shot selection and his calmness throughout. That was impressive. He did a real fine job there. I'm still confused. They stopped this fight. The doctor stopped this fight with the cut. I mean,
it looks like it. Yeah, waved it up.
This is bare knuckle, dude. This is you're gonna have cuts like that every single fight. I mean,
well, I know his corner's very upset about that right now. They're really questioning that, and they're talking to the Florida officials about that.
Is this doctor done bare knuckle before? I mean, maybe this guy's got to stay home and watch the fights from the living room next time. I mean, I've never seen this in a bare knuckle fight. I mean, especially this early in the fight, you didn't even really let them work on the cut besides one round. I mean, and I've seen much worse fights.
Our opening contest was an absolute bloodbath.
I mean, I've seen just Patty Juarez and Christine Stanley when they fought. There was just a bloodbath and a brawl in another card we had. I mean, that's. Maybe it's the dent in his head, I guess. Is there a little bit of a dent? Maybe. I don't know, man. I mean, I don't even know that he got hit hard enough to have a dent in his head, though. I mean, to be honest. Because even the uppercuts he walked into them. It's not like Franco pivoted into anything.
Let's take a look back, see if we can find out when that cut. That was a pretty solid uppercut there by Franco, guys. That might have been the one that did the damage. Taking another look at it here. Bam,
good
right
shot there.
Right on
the only redeeming thing here is Smith is not arguing the stoppage. So, that was definitely a good shot, good uppercut there. Smith is not arguing the stoppage. So, I mean, if you've got almost 20 MMA fights and you got 12 K1 fights in your career, you're a fight veteran. And if you're not arguing this kind of stoppage, then for me, you're all right with it. It's not like you just got here yesterday and you're saying, okay, you know what, they stopped the fight early and I didn't know what to do. To argue. You have enough fights in your resume to argue if you want to fight.
Now, Paulie, what surprised me,
there's no argument there from Smith. So maybe it's him that was okay with the decision.
Exactly. But what surprised me was when Smith came out, the blood was still flowing. Usually when they go to the corner,
100%. You were talking about the cut man's worth his weight in gold.
Yeah.
Well, most when they know when they get the job done right, I guess.
Yeah, usually they do miracles there in between rounds. Wasn't the case this time out. But take nothing away from Franco, who killed him anything but softly. That big uppercut got the job done on a veteran fighter. So this one's got to feel good, as Franco will now go to a 500 record 1-on-1, 1-1, and certainly learned from that early loss in his career.
Exactly. But you know what I like about it? He went back to Oklahoma City and he worked on what he needed to work. And he made himself a better fighter, a more technical fighter, throwing uppercuts. I don't think we saw an uppercut out of him the last time he fought. Now he came in with a whole arsenal of punches.
That was all uppercuts. That's all he threw. Yeah, Swerve just said that his weapon was going to be the cross, came with the uppercut. Let's head back in the Trigon, make it all official.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Sam Burgos calls a stop to this contest at 27 seconds of the second round. Declaring your winner by TKO via a doctor stoppage, Tegan, killing him softly, Franco!
Franco getting the victory there, going to get the knucklehead, that medallion from the Bareknuckle Boxing Hall of Fame. And guys, we're at halftime, the halfway point. 4 big fights in the books. We've seen some great knockouts, some great action. Franco picking up his first victory in Bareknuckle competition. We head back up to the desk. Dave, Claudia, your thoughts on the action thus far?
To watch, no question about that. Tegan Franco, Claudia, gets the TKO in the second round. My big question for you, did you agree with the medical stoppage?
That cut, from what I see, is pretty bad. Now, we can actually say that Smith was okay with it. He could have continued pretty much because we know what kind of heart he has. But is it really worth it? Is it really worth jeopardizing your eye? From what we saw, I obviously wasn't ringside. It looked deep, it looked wide, and it looked in a very awkward position. He could have lost an eye.
So safety first, bottom line.
Absolutely.
Jeremy Smith, clearly a very tough guy as he makes his BYB debut here. But I'm giving Tegan Franco a lot of credit. This is a guy who, as Todd talked about, guys, Trigon side, All-American wrestler making the transition. He has not a lot of experience in this Trigon competition. This is a guy who clearly trained better. Now, you and I were watching from our spot here. Some of the technique, he's still learning the fight game, no question. Maybe a little bit awkward at times.
Yes.
But as the guy Trigon said a moment ago, Claudia, the uppercut really got the job done in the end.
Yes, and he took advantage of his size and his reach, and that uppercut really did a number. What that shows me is definitely he's done his striking work, his conditioning. Let's not forget, this guy knows fight game, period. His background in wrestling shows his eye for the opponent, the space. He knew how to walk the Trigon, which is not an easy feat. So I give him all the credit.
He's got his win. He's leveled his record in BYB Extreme at 1-1. So we're halfway home. 4 down, 4 to go, and the main event is coming up. We can't wait to watch Juarez against Sarah Click. Patty Juarez is the reigning champion in the lightweight division. Sarah Click, active U.S. Army, based in Louisiana. This is someone who was rappelled out of helicopters and served our nation in Afghanistan. Patty Juarez, a champion with a big victory that we saw earlier in BYB Extreme.
Yes, this was BYB 6 in the past month of July when she took on Stanley, Christine Stanley. It was a fight that actually went the distance, where Patty showed grit. Technically speaking, a lot more sound. I can disagree with a couple of the cards were a little too wide. I think Christine came in late, strong, a little late, but Juarez took the win. And it's amazing because in her first try, in her debut in BYB, she showed what she could do in the Trigon. She walked this Trigon like a master.
She was amazing. As you talked about, that fight with Knuckle Stanley went the distance, 7 rounds, 2 minutes each. Tough fighters. Patty Juarez will be tested tonight. I can't wait to watch the person who has fought for our nation overseas in Afghanistan tonight in action. She'll be something, Sarah Click. All right, let's talk about the next fight here. It's Jones, it's Louise Melo. It's light heavyweight action. Jones coming to us from Wales.
Yes.
Part of our British invasion.
Yes.
Here, Claudia, in Miami. Big energy when we met with him yesterday. Knows a lot about the fight game, knows about bare knuckle fighting over in Great Britain. against someone who is very technical as well. This should be a tremendous matchup.
Absolutely, and I agree. We were talking about Smith and how he's used to fighting in small quarters. Let's talk about Barrie Jones. He comes from fighting in 14 feet. I can't even think anymore. Rings. I mean, they're only 14 feet.
We used to talk about the trigon
Yeah,
here.
I'm like, okay, I went on a glitch there for a second. But he's really used to very, very small areas. And he said, this is not difficult for me. Plus, I love fighting. I don't have a problem with that. So the only thing is, he's fighting a Luis Melo, who comes from a very tough loss that he took on against Jomi. And he says, I wasn't prepared for that. I wasn't happy. And I'm a happy fighter. Today, I'm a happy fighter.
Barrie Jones, like Jeff Chiffons, is a roofer back in Wales. He spends a lot of time on ladders and some death-defying work. It's very difficult. He's fallen several times. He knows about pain and recovery and suffering, so he is ready for this action tonight. Let's meet Mr. Melo.
Meu nome é Sérgio Júnior, conhecido como Luis Melo. Venho de Natal, do Rio Grande do Norte, Brasil. Eu gosto de lutar assim em espaço pequeno, porque não tem como fugir muito. Poucos atletas usam, né? Poucos lutadores usam isso. Então eu acho assim, quem quer lutar está no canto certo, canto pequeno, não tem como correr muito. Eu acho melhor com a mão, você sente mais quando você recebe, como quando você ataca. Então eu gosto muito na pele, sem luva. Eu gosto muito desse contato, sentir os ossos da mão, ao mesmo tempo que você bate, também você sentir no seu rosto. Nunca deixar na mão dos juízes, nunca deixar os 5 rounds, 2 rounds, sempre nocaute, sempre penso em nocautear. Quando comecei, né? Comecei no kickbox, que é perna e o boxe. Depois, com o tempo, fui pro Muay Thai. Vou agradecer a oportunidade, porque já foi 6 adversários que não aceitou lutar comigo e ele aceitou. Então, vamos honrar isso, vamos fazer uma boa luta e, se Deus quiser, eu vou sair com nocaute e depois vamos sair, apertar a mão, mas lá quem vai ganhar sou eu.
Luis Melo from Brazil in Portuguese. A word he used to describe himself to us, Claudia, in our meetings yesterday, lucir, which means?
He constantly said, I didn't get a chance to lucir. I didn't get a chance to display myself. I didn't get a chance to show off. So that's why he's taking this opportunity to lucir and for redemption.
Luis Melo, 40 years old. Barrie Jones from Wales, 36 years old. We mentioned the job he's got. It's a little dangerous, kind of like going in the trigon, being a roofer. Let's learn more about Barrie Jones.
My name is Barrie Jones. I'm from Ferndale, South Wales, and I'm fighting Luis Melo. Yeah, it was just in the trigon. It was yeah, seems good. You know, seems quite comfortable in there. So, well, to be honest, same as I've always done. I'm just going to go in there and fight, and then I'll have to adapt to it. You know, so wherever it's going to be, it's going to have to be. Where, you know, there's not a lot of room in there, but I suppose you've got to fight, stay there and fight. I started boxing when I was in the gym when I was 8. My older brothers started boxing, so I was in the gym with them, and I had my first fight as soon as I was 10. My first amateur fight. I won in the first round stoppage. I have 2 children, 2 boys. My oldest one had started boxing. I got a bit nervous when he went in there, but it's up to them if they want to do it. That's their choice, really, and then force them to do it. During the fight, I don't actually feel a lot of pain. It's usually in between rounds or after the fight I feel the injury. Oh, you can definitely feel it a lot more once you get hit with Bareknuckle. It hurts a lot more. I'm currently in 5-0 at the moment, Bareknuckle. I know I'm going to be the winner, so whatever means necessary. He's got an MMA background. Don't know a lot about him, which is always dangerous when you're fighting somebody you don't know a lot about, but I just have to adapt on the night. We'll see you in the trigon, Luis.
Luis Melo fighting out of Cape Coral, Florida, originally from Brazil. Barrie Jones comes to us from Wales. Long trip, he told us a 9-hour flight. Got a couple days to acclimate. How do you think that long trip affects him here tonight?
Oh, absolutely. The time change, the just getting adjusted to the humidity. Of course, you're going to sweat a lot more, so hydration is key. And he only got here on Sunday, so it's not that many days to adjust. Because very light training, but he's fallen off a roof how many times?
He said at least 6 that he remembers.
And a few from the ladder and a few from that, and he just kept doubting. All I have to say is, this guy has more lives than a cat. He can pull away with anything, really.
And a love of life, too. A love of fighting. Great energy, great personality. Against Luis Melo, who's much more cool, calm, calculated, a precise fighter. Should be a tremendous matchup. Let's meet them now with Big Mo.
Ladies and gentlemen, our next bout on the card is scheduled for 5 3-minute rounds in the light heavyweight division and is presented by MMA Coin. Introducing first and making his way to the Trigon and fighting out of the blue corner, please welcome Luis Melo.
Extremely fired up for this light heavyweight contest. Luis Melo. Here's the Luis Melo we like to see. Loose, having fun. That's not the Luis Melo we saw against Jomi Escobosa, because Escobosa got it under his skin, into his head, and out of his game plan.
Well, it's a big man combat. It's not just inside the ring, octagon, trigon, whatever it is you're fighting inside of, whatever space you're fighting inside of. The fight is also psychological, mental, your approach to the fight, your ability to not be bothered by certain things, your ability to not break concentration because of emotion, your ability to channel your emotion into things you do correctly and do better, and not to make it hurt you. So, you know, we can say Melo is feeling better now, but that's on him. If he let Escobosa get in his head, that's on him. It's an experienced fighter like Luis Melo, a guy with all that vast combat experience, should not have that excuse, in my opinion, in any fight at this point in his career.
And to highlight the psychological part against Escobosa, he said they lost his music. They did not play his music, and that totally psyched him out.
Now, I'll tell you what, that I'll buy more, because I'm telling you, my music was very key to me. There were times when I walked into the arena and I was walking out to my music, and I don't know if it was the TV or the announcers had them turn it down because they got to talk during when the fighters are walking out, and I would get so infuriated when I would be walking and couldn't hear my music. They'd have my music, but it was like it was drowned out by the crowd, and it was infuriating. And then when I started commentating in my career, I started realizing that it's the commentators that tell the production to turn down the music so they can talk. I couldn't believe it.
Well, he's right now, Luis Melo is stomping his feet, telling you to shut up there.
I'll tell you what, I think he hears his music.
Rounding out the music. The Juggernaut looks ready here tonight, though. 1-1 in Bareknuckle, including a knockout victory over Robert Washington that lost to Escobosa. Big one here, though, as we await his opponent, Big Mo.
And his opponent fighting out of the red corner, please welcome to the Trigon, Barrie Jones.
Now, where Luis Melo has a ton of experience in the MMA cage, 30 victories, 12 by knockout, the same can be said for Barrie Jones when it comes as a pugilist, as a pure boxer. He had a 22-10 record. He was the WBO super featherweight champion. And now, since he transitioned to bare knuckle competition, in 5 fights, he's won 3 titles. He comes representing BKB in the UK, part of that big partnership.
Yeah, you know, he's coming with a country behind him, the UK behind him in general, you know, UK region overall in general. And I think, you know, it's a little bit of pressure, but it's also a little bit of chip on his shoulder, you know, to want to come here and represent where he's coming from, his region, his promotion, so to speak, and to take on a tough fighter from BYB and represent himself. He's got all knockout wins at bare knuckle. He's got fights against Kell Brook and Liam Smith in his boxing career. You know, both guys went on to win major world titles. You know, so interestingly enough, I think you know, he's been in the ring with world-class fighters in boxing. He came up short, but he's found his niche in bare knuckle. He's found his niche with BKB, and he's trying to translate it over to BYB. He's got a tough guy in front of him tonight.
Yeah, Benny, you know how rabid the UK fans are. It's early morning, but a big hello to everybody watching in the UK.
Exactly. They say it's past 1 o'clock in the morning back in England right now. well. So one of the things that, this guy does as far as, Barrie Jones as a fighter is, he started fighting when he was like 10 years old. Kids in England, they grow up boxing. I mean, these guys are trained killers.
Here to set the stage for this huge light heavyweight battle, Big Mo.
Ladies and gentlemen, this bout is scheduled for 5 3-minute rounds in the light heavyweight division. Let's meet the fighters. First, fighting out of the blue corner. He stands 5 feet 8 inches tall, weighing in at 175 pounds. He holds a bare knuckle record of 1 win, 1 loss, and he fights out of Cape Coral, Florida, by way of Natal, Brazil, Luis Juggernaut and his opponent fighting out of the red corner. He stands 5 feet 11 inches tall. He holds a bare knuckle record of 5 wins, 0 losses, and he fights out of Ferndale, South Wales in the United Kingdom. Introducing Barrie Jones. Our referee, Bobby Wambacher.
All right, gentlemen, we've been through the rules in the back. I expect a good, clean fight. Obey my commands at all times. Protect yourself at all times. Touch them up if you want.
A lot of electricity in the air. BYB versus BKB. Paulie, your thoughts as we look at the tail of the tape?
Both guys we talked about have a lot of experience, and their age proves it. 36 for Barrie Jones, 40 for Luis Melo. A little bit of a reach advantage for Melo, a little bit of a height advantage for Barrie Jones. Let's see.
Here we go. We're off and running, and these two, no feel it out process in this one. Wow. Oh, and down goes Melo. Almost instantly.
It's over.
It's over. Wow. Impressive.
Melo took a left from Jones that was right on.
Wow. What a statement.
Talked about he found his niche. I was just looking at Barrie Jones' record. So he didn't have a WBO world title. If anything, he had a regional title. But nonetheless, this guy's championship material since coming to bare knuckle boxing. BKB, BYB, what a knockout. Luis Melo is a durable guy. He just took him right out, and it was Melo who came out aggressive. I can't believe how aggressive Melo came out against a guy who's known as a knockout puncher in bare knuckle.
And if I can add to that, Paulie, this is an example of a guy from a boxing background and an MMA background. The MMA background stood straight up. Stood straight up and took that shot. Jones, on the other hand, got down, bent that knee, and came up with that left, and it was right on the button.
It was lightning quick. First shot in the battle here between BYB and BKB.
And it took a few clean shots to land. Melo took the first one. I think he even took the second one clean. There was some that didn't land clean, but, I mean, Melo never got out of there. I guess he just assumed, as we see that Nguyen, who's a very good bare knuckle fighter himself, a championship level fighter, bare knuckle fighter himself. I'm watching that exchange. He didn't change his mind when he took the first 1 or 2 shots cleanly. Melo's overconfident in his chin, too confident in his chin. And Barrie Jones, the guy who, again, has been in with championship fighters. Suleiman Mbaye, Liam Smith, Kell Brook, they all beat him in professional boxing, but these guys were all former world champions or future world champions at the time they fought him.
Barrie Jones, the Welsh Wrecking Machine, as many have called him, living up to that moniker, made quick work of Melo, of Luis Melo, who came in confident because he had such a great camp. You look at his body, he came in the best shape of his career. He wanted to avenge that loss over Escobosa and erase that in his mind, and walked right into a buzzsaw.
And your decisions in there make a big difference. Your choices in there. Melo made the choice to come out aggressive, and here's the whole fight. I mean, look, there's clean shots there. The last 2 shots landed cleanly, but I think he got hit even cleanly
earlier. Yeah, he got hit earlier.
I mean, this is the look. That shot lands clean. That shot lands clean. That shot lands clean. That shot lands. The 3 shots in a row landed clean. I mean, all hard hooks, and a boxer knows how to turn into those hooks if you allow him to have the torque to throw hooks. I mean, look. Let's see. That lands clean. That lands clean. That lands clean, clean, clean. I mean, too many shots. I mean, Melo should have had the recognition to get out of there. He was throwing too wide. On the inside, the boxer's always going to throw a little bit shorter. And all it was Melo trying to be aggressive, and he's throwing too wide, and Jones throwing inside of Melo and landing all the power shots.
But you know what happens sometimes at the age of 40? What the mind wants to do, what the body's able to do is not connected. The wires are frayed, and I think that's what happened, because it looked like Melo's feet were in cement.
Let's head back to the Trigon and make it all official. What a lightning fast knockout by Barrie Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Bobby Wambacher calls a stop to this contest at 15 seconds of the very first round, declaring your winner by knockout, Barrie Jones.
You think there's a few pints getting tipped back there in the UK with that one? The fans watching on, they got to be going absolutely crazy. And the knucklehead, that medallion this time out, does have the US and the UK flag on it to commemorate this partnership with BKB. What a statement-making win by Barrie Jones, as our own Bob Alexandre standing by.
All right, thank you, Todd. We are with the winner, Barrie Jones. Barrie, Melo came out very fast. That didn't appear to bother you at all. You just stepped in and threw some beautiful combinations. Talk about that final left hook that finished him off.
Well, the plan was to come in and take it quite slow, but yeah, it's so small in there, you got to, you know, he dragged me straight into a fight, and that was it, really.
You came all the way over here from the United Kingdom and Wales, and of course, there's a great opportunity between the partnership with BYB and BKB. Talk about your experience fighting here in the States.
Oh, it's been amazing. Everybody's been great to us. It's once in a lifetime opportunity, and thanks for having me.
What would you like to see next in your career in 2022?
There's a fight I want in BKB. I won't say no, but that's a big fight. That's the fight I want.
Well, congratulations. It was a sensational knockout. Go enjoy the win. Barrie Jones, your winner by knockout.
I would say after this huge victory in this partnership that Barrie Jones has earned any fight he wants in BKB after representing so strong.
I want to see him again. I hope we bring him back here again. That was sensational. I feel like it was a tease. It was too fast.
So, Paulie and Todd, what do you think, Escoboza and Barrie Jones?
I mean, that's the thing. Escoboza, they fought at 185. Is Jones a 185-pounder, or is he a 170-pounder who just moved up a few pounds?
Well, he fought as a welterweight in boxing.
Let's take another look back. It was a succession of hooks by Barrie Jones as these two went toe-to-toe. Down goes Melo.
But that's the thing. I mean, in boxing, in welterweight 147, he fought Liam Smith, maybe 154 pounds. What weight is Jomi? Isn't Jomi
185, yeah.
Right? That's a major difference.
But you know what's amazing? It's not like Melo didn't land some shots of his own, but it just seemed like Barrie Jones didn't even phase him.
They were too wide. There was nothing on them. You know, you throw them too wide, you're not getting the same amount of leverage on them. Jones had all the leverage.
It looked like the grand finale of a fireworks show. Claudia, Dave, your thoughts?
Wow. Todd, all I could say is wow. 15 seconds, Claudia, and that was that. You know, Barrie Jones apparently just fine. No jet lag bothering him after the long trip from the UK to here in South Florida. He said he watched about 4 movies at 9 hours, got 4 movies in.
Exactly.
Didn't sleep on the flight at all. He puts his opponent, Luis Melo, to sleep.
Well, talk about lucir. Now let's talk about who actually put their skills in display.
Barrie Jones.
Barrie Jones, and forget about jet lag, forget about time change, forget about rehydration. That was out the window. The one thing he was very excited to be here and have the ability or the possibility to show off what he's made of and his boxing skills and his pedigree, both amateur and pro. But once he walked into the Trigon, it was all calm. There was no you know, that anxiety, no adrenaline. He was
none at all.
Cool and collected, and it all happened in 15 seconds. Wow. I want to see him again. I agree with Paulie. I would love to see him again.
It wasn't enough.
No,
it wasn't enough.
Seconds.
Barrie Jones.
Sounds like my nightlife.
And I'm sure his phone is blowing up right now. That was a big subject of our interview. Because of the time difference, it's early Sunday morning in the UK, but a lot of people are watching on YouTube. And I'm sure they're tipping a pint or two right now in his honor.
Oh, I would too. Yes, because a lot of people were actually waiting for his show and his partner in crime in the team that was coming from Great Britain, and unfortunately one was cut short, so we only had Barrie. So of course Barrie had to put on the show, so everybody had an opportunity to drink a beer or two, just two. We gotta celebrate. It's 15 seconds.
A pint or two, or
well, okay,
maybe
fair.
more. What an effort. He is a dad, he is a full-time roofer, and he's a winner at BYB 8. That was impressive. The flight home is going to be pretty awesome too. Celebrating for Barrie Jones. Luis Melo, he tried to get up. I mean, it was a good attempt, but those legs were wobbling, Claudia. There was no chance.
He didn't see anything coming. And he was in the best shape ever. He even said it, you know, this is not the same time that opportunity presented itself once I had to fight Jomi. I'm a different fighter. This is my time to shine. You know, sometimes it's just a bad day at the office. I cannot criticize anything that he did, because Melo was prepared to do what he was supposed to do. But it only took Jones 15 seconds. What can you rectify in 15 seconds?
The left overhand was going to win the fight. That's what Jones told us. It was the uppercut that did the job with, as Paulie mentioned, 3 straight clean connections, and that ends that.
And
let's
now
move
you know
ahead.
who has a heavy hand.
That's right. We sure do. And we'll see him again, I certainly hope.
Yes.
Move ahead now to Speedy Martinez, Albert Martinez Jr., Seth Schaefer. These are 2 dudes in meeting them yesterday, Claudia, coming from a different place in life.
Yes. Looking at Alberto Martinez, better known as Speedy, with a very tight-knit relationship with his dad. He's in his corner. He introduced him into car racing at a very young age. Is a gentleman that knows and understands adrenaline, and that's why he took on boxing, and that's why he likes to be in the Trigon. And he wants to prove that he has what it takes to take his boxing skills to another level. We cannot say the same thing for Seth Schaefer. The only word I want to use here is angry. He's angry. He's always been angry, so much so that because he took on so many street fights, his mom decided to just take him to the gym.
Also an IT guy in school trying to advance his way up in the computer world to become a programmer and do a lot more than just fight. But I'm with you. He sort of lives, fights angry. Albert Martinez, Speedy, grew up in Homestead here, now lives in Georgia. Dad, the drag racer, lives happy, lives fast. Interesting contrast in personalities and fighting style. Let's meet the fighters now with Big Mo.
Ladies and gentlemen, our next bout is scheduled for 5 3-minute rounds in the welterweight division. Introducing first, making his way to the Trigon and fighting out of the blue corner, please welcome Seth Schaefer.
Seth Schaefer, as Claudia touched on, does kind of have a perennial chip on his shoulder. He's 8-1 in amateur MMA, including 2 MMA amateur titles, but that lone loss to Zach Kamara always weighs on him. I think whenever he looks across the cage or a ring, he sees Zach Kamara. He wants to avenge that loss at some point, but making his bare-knuckle debut here at BYB, but as Claudia mentioned and Dave mentioned, a big street fighting background.
Yeah, you know, he's got the amateur MMA background. He wanted to try his luck at something different. I think the only loss he had was in his last amateur MMA fight. He had been undefeated until then, so that always is going to weigh on you a little bit because it's fresh. It's the most fresh thing in your mind, you know. So, you know, and plus the first time you lose always bothers you the most. You know, it's just it's a foreign feeling. So, you know, you could tell in the fighter meeting yesterday that loss still bothers him. But I want to see how much it motivates him, because a loss like that will lead, especially one that gets you dejected. It's the right reaction to be dejected. If the loss isn't bothering you, you've lost your competitive juices. You shouldn't be fighting. So the fact that it does bother him is a good thing, but it can be manipulated in a way where it can make you better, or you can stay dejected. We're going to find out tonight.
Comes in with that kill or be killed mentality, Benny.
Yeah, and the anger can be good and bad. The anger can be bad in this type of in boxing or in bare knuckle, because if you tighten up, then you got a problem, because then all of a sudden that's when you get knocked out. You got to be loose. You got to be totally, so he's got to put that anger aside.
And his opponent is a bad man.
And his opponent, fighting out of the red corner and making his way to the ring, please welcome Albert Martinez.
Albert Speedy Martinez off to a great start in his bare knuckle career. He's 2-0 here in BYB, including a BYB 6 round 1 victory over Wael Watson. Yeah, beautiful left hook that put down Watson. Also has a win over Rob Fletcher back at BYB 2. We'll have his father in his corner. His father, guys, was a drag racer, a professional drag racer. Speedy says he's got that nickname for another reason in the ring. He didn't like going fast in the cars when he was a kid.
You know, I guess adrenaline runs in the family. You would say that because the father being the drag racer, the son being a fighter, but the son yesterday tells us that he doesn't like to drive fast. That was just something his father did, and he's not that kind of aggressive driver. You know, so I guess we all have our adrenaline niche, so to speak, and not all adrenaline junkies are created equal.
Yeah. Arriba, 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 arriba. Speedy Martinez is what he ends up doing. But, you know, here's a guy that calm. He's got this tremendous calm. You can see the confidence. Confidence comes from your workout. At American Top Team, they say he is the hardest working guy there. So he puts a lot of time in that gym, and he derives that confidence from that hard work he's already put in.
Fights for family as well, and fights for autism awareness, which is just so inspirational. You know, his nieces, nephews, brother, and his daughter is on the autism spectrum, so he's, you know, fighting to get the word out for those just incredible individuals. As well, he's got 2 sons, and his 13-year-old Sebastian, I guess a heck of a boxer in his own right. And certainly, Speedy Martinez wants to put on a good show for his son watching at home tonight. As we get set for this welterweight bout, scheduled for 5 3-minute rounds, should be a good one.
Ladies and gentlemen, this welterweight bare knuckle bout is set for 5 3-minute rounds and is presented by the Bare Knuckle Boxing Hall of Fame. Let's meet the fighters. First, fighting out of the blue corner. He stands 5 feet 9 inches tall, weighing in at 143 pounds. He is making his bare knuckle debut, and he fights out of Canton, Ohio, introducing Seth Schaefer. And his opponent, fighting out of the red corner. He stands 5 feet 7 inches tall, weighing in at 145 pounds. He holds a bare knuckle record of 2 wins, 0 losses, and he fights out of Tifton, Georgia, by way of Miami, Florida, introducing Albert Speedy Martinez. Our referee, Sam Burgos.
Remember, get the instructions to the back, obey my command, protect yourself at all times. Touch him if you like. Toes in the corner, buddy. Toes in the corner. All right, gentlemen, that's the bell.
Schaefer versus Martinez. Martinez with that undefeated record on the line here, Paulie.
Yeah, here we go in the tail of the tape. Schaefer, 5 years younger, a little lighter, 1-inch reach advantage, but let's see if the youth of Schaefer translates as Martinez tries to get off to a quick start.
Martinez throwing that big left hand early. The southpaw Martinez was so devastating with that in his last fight against Watson. Caught him with the left hook, dropped Watson. And now we've got just blitzing offense early by Martinez, wearing the stars and stripes.
Yeah, Schaefer looks a little bit tight to me to start out this fight. First pro fight, first bare knuckle fight. I think he's got to get himself loosened up a little bit. He looks a little bit tight on defense, and he's not letting the shots go fluidly, and Martinez is taking advantage.
And you know, he's not even seeing that left hand.
Yeah.
Martinez bringing that left hand at will. Look at that. He's landing that every time he throws it.
Martinez just loading it up. Schaefer 8-1 in MMA, but this is his first experience in bare knuckle. 1-2 combination there by Speedy Martinez. He is just that.
And you know, right now, when you look at Seth, he's not moving at all. No. He's staying right there, right in front of Martinez. Makes it easy for Martinez to find him.
Yeah, and you can tell he's tight also. Another reason, he's starting the same way every time. He's just going in and looking for a 1-2. Going in, looking for a falling in, touching here. He's not thinking outside. There goes again, look for the 1-2 again. He's just not looking for anything else because he's just not calm enough to be thinking his way through the fight yet.
Martinez undefeated. Kind of reminds me of Carlos Guerra, just in precision boxing that he's shown, and the undefeated record as well.
But I'll tell you what Martinez does do is, see how low he gets? He gets real low. Now watch the front foot of Schaefer. It's on his heel. He's not on the balls of his feet, so he's not able to shift rapidly. He plants that foot, it's staying there.
Yeah, good observation, Ben. When you land heel toe, it kind of cements you a little bit.
We'll say Schaefer's feet in the concrete thus far. The right-left combination there by the southpaw, Speedy Martinez. Got his dad in his corner. Albert Martinez Sr., the drag racer that we spoke of.
And he got a finger in the eye there.
Yep, calling for time now.
His contact came out.
Fixed it. And he fixed it. Look at that.
Oh, wow. That was quick.
That's calm. You know you're calm. You can fix your contact in the middle of the fight, too.
Better make sure that's that 30-day contact.
Action resumes. 40 seconds to go here in the first of 5 scheduled 3-minute rounds. Still to come.
Right here, Schaefer needs to feint or something here. He's just touching, Martinez is giving him the lead hand to paw, and Schaefer's pawing at it, but he's not, creating anything off it. You're pawing. You got to drop a feint or something.
Last time out, Martinez was able to get his opponent Watson cornered, and as Watson came out of the corner, Martinez caught him with that big left hook. We'll see if Martinez can perhaps bull rush Schaefer in this one. Get him cornered and then unload. Oh my! Big shot. Wow, out of nowhere by Seth Schaefer. And only seconds left in the first round. We'll see if Martinez can weather the storm back on his feet.
And that's a big confidence builder for Schaefer. I'll tell you, Schaefer needed that. Wow, the whole round over.
First round comes to an end, and a big-time wake-up call by Seth Schaefer.
And look at Schaefer yelling into the camera. Now he's pumped. Now he's got the confidence.
Yeah, but you know what, guys? We're talking about the anger in Schaefer. Yet he actually was very cool and calm. Yeah. Waited for his time, and then with that left, he turned that left, and it was right on the button.
I don't even know how to score that round now, because it was a round dominated by Martinez, and then a knockdown. Does that mean he wins it 10-8 instead of 10-9? I mean 10-9 instead of 10-8, right? I mean, that was a dominant Martinez round.
So if you score 10-8 as a dominant round, then you give the one for the knockout.
10-9. Yeah, it becomes 10-9, yeah.
Well, that's why it's said here, guys, in BYB inside the Trigon, don't leave it to the judges. Only one round in the book so far as we take a look back at the action. Blitzing in there.
I mean, and what's impressive here is Schaefer's fighting right-handed, but he lands that shot as a left cross. Watch. It spins around. Look, it's a left cross. He threw that shot as a left cross from the southpaw stance and dropped his man. Now he's back in the right-handed position. Let's see.
Yeah, what an angle Schaefer caught him with. Really stunning, surprising. Albert Speedy Martinez. And we'll see if Martinez can come back out of the blocks offensively here. Nice flurry to kick things off here in round 2.
Well, I think both got their confidence up. They both think they can land. They both think they can do some damage. Now it's a matter of Schaefer. What he's got to do is move a little bit more laterally. Don't go back.
And Martinez staying low, trying to keep a small target. He doesn't want to give up that target again like he did at the end of that last round.
Martinez so dangerous with that southpaw. Straight left attempt there by Martinez. This is where it was the beginning of the end for Watson when Martinez got him cornered. Body shots by Martinez. Fighting out of the corner is Schaefer.
And one of the shots that gets in on the southpaw, Paulie, is that straight right.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that Schaefer's doing a good job of. He's looking for that straight right. And what he does is he moves his foot to the outside and then moves laterally and then comes in with that straight right.
But the problem for the right-hander is the left hand. The straight left hand can get in from the southpaw. And Martinez got in a couple there.
Both fighters throwing punches and bunches here. Attacking now is Schaefer.
He took another shot to the jaw. You saw Martinez start to buckle.
Out of the clinch, going to the work on the body is Schaefer. Schaefer with that MMA background is going to be very familiar with clinch work. Dirty boxing by both. Something's got to give here, fellas. What a war we got brewing.
I'll tell you, Schaefer trying to work his way back into the fight, and this is becoming a battle of attrition more and more and more. And I think both guys are willing to go for it. Big shot there by Schaefer. He's backed off Martinez.
And he's managing that space so well. He's able to close, but he gives it just enough air to be able to land his shot. And that's a technique that boxing fighters do. They put their head right on the chest of their fighter and then create punching angles.
This fight's just got that powder keg mentality. You feel like it could end at any second. One big shot could be the difference maker.
I think both of these guys are dragging each other to a bad, dark place, and they both seem willing to be there. I don't know that any one of these guys is going to be able to break the other one at this moment.
Well, if this continues, we might have a front runner for fight of the night. These two going to war. Schaefer throwing with reckless abandon.
And the smart thing Schaefer's doing is he is making sure that Martinez's back is in the corner. And he's not letting him out of there. You got to fight out of there.
And I think lately, Paulie, Schaefer's just been the busier of the two fighters in terms of the volume that he's got.
Yeah, that's the thing. He may have stolen the first round, and now in the second round, it seems like he's actually outworking Martinez. And I don't know, man. Martinez may be down 2 rounds at the end of this round if this ends like this.
Inside 10 seconds to go now. Sense of urgency.
Big shot by Martinez at the belt.
Big left hand by Martinez.
Close round, man. That's a close round. I mean, the first round you give to Martinez, you give to Schaefer because of the knockdown, but only because of the knockdown. And the second round is so close, man.
I'm going to give that one to Schaefer.
I was angling Schaefer, and then that big left hand at the belt by Martinez now has me questioning who to give it to, you know?
And that was a meaningful shot there by Martinez right at the bell saying, hey, I'm not going anywhere.
But that's why a good way to score it is to divide it in 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
And here's some of that action from that last round. The nice left hand there from underneath by Martinez. I think this is the early part of the round where Martinez was staying low and kind of getting in there.
Schaefer
where the cut came from there. That was a good left hand. That one might be where the cut came from.
And there we see
that is cut.
Schaefer getting worked on in the corner there as well, Paulie. Working on that cut in between rounds. Wow. What a battle we've got.
Good fight. Both of these guys mentally strong and not giving in to one another, which is creating a lot of entertainment for the fans. Oh, good, nice jab by Schaefer.
Paulie, watch how wide Martinez's stance is. To me, it takes a long time.
Yeah, I noticed that too. And he's exaggeratingly low, and he ends up widening his feet when he stays that low.
I mean, Pernell Whitaker was the best at that, but this is no Pernell Whitaker the way he moves.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of space to move like Whitaker in there either.
Yeah.
Kind of dialing it back a little bit here, though, and a little more measured is Martinez. Good head movement and looking to find that angle.
You talk about the anger of Schaefer, Benny. You know, I think he's very, very calm in there, but you can see the anger in his willingness to battle. He's looking to overtake you mentally by getting you in those corners, and he doesn't stop punching, and he makes Martinez very uncomfortable.
Oh, my goodness! Schaefer drops him again! To the head, to the body, all points in between!
That's a body shot that you give Schaefer Mexican citizenship. That was a left hook to the body.
I didn't even see it. I was talking. I didn't even see it. I'm talking too much there.
Whoa! That was on the button. Left hook to the body. That was unbelievable.
Martinez.
Great sportsmanship.
Oh, yeah. You got to love it. I mean, what a battle it was.
I mean, this is one sneaky left hook. We kept talking about that straight right. And, you know, he feinted with a straight right and then came in with that left hook to the body. And believe me,
Schaefer emotional as well in there.
Motor Vehicles does not want his organisms right now.
You know, for Schaefer, it was Rick Blackwell, Victory MMA, that took him in, kind of got him off the streets from his street fighting background. Fighting turned his life around. Now he's got a family fighting for them. This is a huge victory. Of course, he's going to be emotional. This is his bare-knuckle debut, and he just defeated an undefeated fighter in Speedy Martinez.
I tell you, not an easy debut, right? Not an easy debut. He's yelling at the camera. His corner's yelling at the camera. Everybody's got something yelling to do.
Albert Martinez undefeated, no longer will go to 2-1. Boy, I'll tell you what, Seth Schaefer from Canton, Ohio, but right now he's hailing from Upset City, USA. I don't think a lot of people thought he would pick up the win.
No, and you know, Paulie, he didn't fight like an MMA fighter.
No, and he also fought like a guy who was a little bit tight early on. I mean, that first round, I thought he lost the whole round, and then he got the knockdown to get it back, and he never gave back the advantage after scoring that knockdown. He stayed on it, he grew in confidence, and he took home the win ever since, really, little by little. But he not only didn't he fight like an MMA fighter, Benny, but he fought kind of tight, almost nervy in the early part of the first round.
And Todd, one of the things he did really good, there he is, Joey Escoboza. Boy, would you like to see Escoboza if they can work that weight?
The reigning cruiserweight champion. There you see it of BYB, another championship match that went the distance, much like Juarez will be in our main event, and Jomi Escoboza will be putting that cruiserweight title on the line when we see you next time on March 12th from Tampa, Florida.
You know, I thought Schaefer did a great job at managing the space from the second round on. Not so much in the first round because he was feeling his way out of there. But then I think when we talked about the stance of Martinez dragging that back foot, he was not able to get out of there. He couldn't spin out of there.
No, he couldn't, Benny. You're right. Good point. And honestly, give him credit for even withstanding that first round assault.
Let's take a look back at the action. You guys mentioned Schaefer was stiff earlier, but a bone-rattling body shot.
Good eye, man. Oh, I was too busy talking. That is Mexican style all the way, man. I mean, that was he even used the throwaway right hand. Look at the throwaway. Oh, he used that little throwaway right hand to distract, to get the elbows up. What a body shot! Look at that wow, man.
Beautiful work there by Schaefer. Goes upstairs, and then here we see it. Bam!
Perfectly delivered.
That hurt here. I felt that here.
Oh, man. And especially when the pace of the fight was getting uncomfortable for Martinez already. So when you're fatiguing and you take a body shot like that, that's no joke, man.
Back inside the Trigon to make it all official. What a victory by Schaefer.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Sam Burgos has called a stop to this contest at 1 minute, 5 seconds of the third round, declaring your winner by knockout, Seth Schaefer.
Talk about a debut victory in style by defeating the previously undefeated Speedy Martinez. Statement-making victory by Seth Schaefer. That one's got to feel good. Scott Bird in there to adorn him with the knucklehead, that medallion from the Bareknuckle Boxing Hall of Fame. And a historic first victory for that man, Schaefer. Up to Bob Alexandre to get a word.
Thank you, Tom, with the winner, Seth Schaefer. Seth, you came into this fight with a bit of a chip on your shoulder after a loss in MMA. You seemed a little tight in the first round until you landed that big left hand that scored the knockdown. Talk about the start of the fight and how you finished it off.
I mean, it wasn't necessarily a chip. It was just, I don't know, first loss taken, so, you know, I'm pretty sure most fighters don't take it very well, but I mean, it was still all love. Me and Zachariah, we follow each other on like social media, and we talk here and there. So, but I don't know if we'll ever run that back because he's probably gonna stay in MMA, and I'll probably stay in this because I like this. This is fun.
Well, you should like it because you scored the big knockout. You had the cut over the eye. Did that bother you at all?
No, I like blood, so, you know. I think that's what woke me up. You know, as everyone could see, I was, you know, kind of sluggish, slow starting, but I think as soon as I realized I was bleeding, and I was like, all right, here we go, let's do this, you know, we're fighting now, so.
You say you enjoyed being in the Trigon. Would you like to come back in 2022?
Definitely, but I made some promises to some friends and coaches, and I'm in W3 schooling, which is just web designing, so I'm almost there. So I just want to finish that, and then, you know, then I'll get back to things. But I'm going to still train, obviously. So, but I just got to get that schooling done first, because I mean, I've already started. Might as well finish what you started. So, but I definitely want to be back here for sure. I love this. This is great. You guys been great. Thank you, BYB. Thank you, Dream, my management. Special thanks to Jay Davis. This wouldn't be possible without you. You're the best, and thank you. Just thank you, everyone. Thank you. I love you guys, everyone.
Congratulations. Big knockout win. Seth Schaefer, your winner.
From landing hits in the Trigon to maybe getting hits on a website once he creates it and finishes his school. What a victory by Seth Schaefer over the previously undefeated Speedy Martinez. An emotional victory, and he feels right at home inside the Trigon. Dave, Claudia, your thoughts? What a win.
What a win indeed. Seth Schaefer, Claudia, described himself as a computer nerd, a IT geek. When we spoke with him yesterday, at one point of his life, fighting was just a hobby. It wasn't a serious endeavor. That was a serious win with a third-round KO. You know, we've met with Leo Pla. He's one of the stars of BYB Extreme. Every time we ask him, how are you going to win the fight? He says the liver shot, the body shot, Claudia. And that's what did it in this one for Seth Schaefer. Very impressive.
You know what? For a young man who thought of this as an outlet for whatever he was going through, he mastered two of his biggest influences. Manny Pacquiao in the speed and just the precision, and the left hook to the liver, Julio Cesar Chavez. The one guy that actually made it so well known. And he was very clear in saying, I like those guys, they've influenced my fighting style, but this is just an outlet. I think we have a change of tune now. He wants to be back.
How effective is that punch? What does that do to a fighter when you're hit there?
It's kind of a delayed reaction, but it actually affects your legs. Your legs go numb, and it takes a little bit. And when it's a deep, deep punch, it's very, very painful. And it's not immediate. It's like that split second. And we've seen it. Canelo has actually made a great example out of that with Sergey Kovalev, for example. And that was a guy that was 2 divisions bigger than him. So now you know how effective that can be.
No way for Speed Martinez to get up. The legs went down, and the fight was over. So congrats to Seth Schaefer. We move ahead now.
Yes.
We've got some very big names. When you talk about Des Green, maybe the biggest name recognition at one time on the UFC roster. Yes, he had some out of the octagon, away from the trigon legal issues he's still sorting through. He could return to UFC one day, but he's hungry, he's angry, he's ready. Carlos Alexandre, a great fighter as well. I love this matchup.
Yes, and I said it at the beginning of our broadcast, this is the one fight that I was really looking forward to besides our main event. Why? Because Desmond Green has that aggression. It's not just physical, it's not just his boxing style, it's his personality. And he identifies himself with that persona that was for such a long time part of UFC. And since he was away from it for 2.5 years, he found BYB as the one place that he could find himself again, to the point where he said, if I don't dominate the sport, I might as well just retire completely.
Amazing.
But now he's finding somebody who's coming all the way from Brazil with the intent to show off his skills, his style, in a very quiet man. And I'm always afraid of those quiet fighters that are very calm, because you know that there's a serious storm rumbling inside.
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu origins can be very tough to stop for Des Green, who's 1-0 so far in the Trigon. It was a very quick fight. Des Green, former Mid-American Conference All-League wrestler at the University of Buffalo. He has an undergrad degree. This is a national champion wrestler as well, from upstate, from Rochester.
You know that.
Now, I know, well, I lived in Syracuse 25 years. I know about how cold it is right now. Getting close to Christmas in upstate. This is a tough customer. He seemed confident and ready to fight when we met with him yesterday.
Yes, he's ready to go. And he wants to prove once again that there is no rust. And this is not a young buck. He's already 32 years old with a lot of flying hours. Flying hours are like dog years, especially when we're talking about the fight game. And when you already have the kind of record that you have in the UFC at the highest level of MMA, those are some serious challenges, not just physical but mental, a lot of sacrifice. So he wants to make sure he can catch up with the time lost.
Let's learn a bit more about Desmond Green.
My name is Desmond Green. Come from originally Rochester, New York. Shout out upstate. And you know, I moved down to Florida probably about 2016 to start training down here. Oh man, as a little kid, I was super hyper. They always tell me, they said, listen, if anybody was gonna be in combat sports, it was gonna be you. I was a wrestler, so I went on, did good in high school, went to college and wrestled, and after that, I kind of jumped into the MMA scene. Really, just what got me into Bareknuckle is my itch for being one of the baddest guys out there, and you know, I like to consider myself as a modern day gladiator. You know, I know if I was born in the Roman days, I would have gladly volunteered to go into the Coliseum. So about my opponent, I'm not too familiar with. I try to do my due diligence and my homework with him, but not too much came up. I do know he's a Brazilian native. I'm sure he's gonna bring it, but he's just gonna get added to the highlight reel at the end of the day. All right, Mr. Carlos Mistoka Alexandre. I'm not sure if I said your name right, but I respect you, bro, but at the end of the day, December 17th, you're gonna get added to the highlight reel. So I hope you said your prayers to your family and tell them to forgive me for what I'm gonna do.
Carlos Alexandre, Claudia, does not care that Des Green has a UFC pedigree. He said, who's ever in front of me, I'm gonna go through him. I'm gonna be victorious in the Trigon here tonight. He describes himself as a heavy puncher with cat-like quickness. That can be a deadly combination.
Yes, and let's not forget, his is the fastest jab in the world, and so he says, and we need to see that. But the one thing that I cannot stress this more, those quiet men that walk into the ring, into the octagon, into the Trigon, those are scary to me because you don't really know how to read them, and there's this calmness to them that you can't really tell if it's bluff. And the truth is, he's got nothing to lose. Nothing to lose. Nothing more dangerous than somebody like that.
Best jab in the world, that's a big claim. We're about to see how good that jab really is. And the presence, what will he do against Des Green? Let's learn more about Carlos Alexandre.
Carlos Alexandre, Mistoka, Brasília, Brasil. Eu sei que ele é veterano do UFC, bem experiente e que está querendo dar a volta por cima na sua carreira. Eu espero oponente bem agressivo, uma luta boa. Para mim deve ser uma das melhores lutas da noite. Estou bem preparado. Minha estratégia é deixar fluir. Do jeito que a música tocar, a gente vai dançar. Eu estou pronto para tudo. Se ele vier trocar, a gente vai trocar. Se ele no clinch, a gente vai clinchar. Eu me sinto confortável em qualquer ambiente dentro daquele triângulo. Meu pai, eu não levo mais, que ele sempre passa mal, família passa mal. Eu não gosto de saber que eles estão no ambiente. Geralmente eles assistem em casa, porque geralmente é tenso. Eu já fiz umas lutas muito agressivas, pai, mãe passam bastante mal. Eu me sinto alegre em estar lutando, eu me sinto, vamos dizer, bem, me sinto alegre da minha música, do pessoal cantando, de estar levando multidão, de pessoas gritando, eu me sinto bem. O justiceiro está aqui.
Green, Alexandre, Claudia, it's a great matchup. Haven't done this yet. It's time right now. Prediction, who wins this fight?
Oh no, I'm not gonna go against the rope on this one. This is a tough call. I'm just gonna let their own punches talk.
Okay,
yes.
okay.
Not
maybe
this
for
one.
the main event?
Yes.
All right, for the main event. Let's meet these fighters now. In the Trigon, here's Big Mo.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for your co-main event of the evening. Scheduled for 5 3-minute rounds in the middleweight division. Introducing first and making his way to the Trigon, please welcome Carlos Alexandre.
Co-main event time in the middleweight division. And Carlos Alexandre, Mistoka, which roughly translates to mixed, and he is mixed in his skills. 1-0 in bare-knuckle competition, a BYB 3 victory, round 1 victory over Colton Bowen, cat-like speed, an extensive MMA career as well with 17 wins, 7 pro MMA titles in his native Brazil. And he's got his game face on, guys. He means business, does Alexandre.
Yeah, he sure does, man. You know, he's a savvy veteran. He's got the experience to give him this confidence that he obviously clearly has. He's soft-spoken, not a man of many words, but you can tell when he speaks, he fully believes in himself. And he's not just being a timid guy who's unsure of things, because there's two different kinds of quiet people, you know? And I got the sense from Alexandre that he is the former, a very, very confident, understanding of who he is, and he's very confident in his ability to beat Desmond Green tonight.
And you know, when you talk about the jab could be an offense, the jab could be defense, the jab could be many things, but it's how you handle the space after you throw that jab, and that's what I'm interested to see, to find out how Alexandre does that.
And not just the jab, but the self-proclaimed fastest jab in the world. Can't wait to see that in action. And cool, calm, and collected is Alexandre, because as Claudia touched on, as Dave touched on, he doesn't sweat the big fight UFC experience of his opponent, Green. You know, he said he's just another opponent that I have to get through. A lot of confidence, a lot of composure in Alexandre.
And then when you talk about the jab, Paulie, you're talking about, look at Larry Holmes. Larry Holmes beat Ken Norton with that jab.
Yeah.
He hurt his right shoulder, he fought with one hand, and the jab was effective enough to go ahead and win that fight and become a world champion.
Alexandre in the ring, and now it's time for the Predator to be on the hunt.
And his opponent, fighting out of the red corner, please welcome to the Trigon, Desmond Green.
Desmond the Predator Green, collecting victories in combat sports. It's been his business. Business has been damn good. In the UFC, he's got a winning record, 4 victories, 23-8 overall in MMA with 6 knockout victories, 1-0 here at BYB with a round 1 knockout over Jeff Chiffons. We know how tough he can be. Took on Carlos Guerra early on, and the Predator putting the pressure on his shoulders, saying, if I can't walk through the competition here at BYB, then I should just walk away from combat sports. Hopes to one day return to the octagon and become a UFC champion.
Yeah, I mean, he's set high expectations for himself. Sometimes when I hear him say that if he can't handle the competition in BYB, he should retire, sometimes I'm wondering if he's underestimating some of the competition. Chiffons was a tough guy, and the fact that he knocked him out in the first round was impressive. But we also saw Carlos Guerra knocked out Chiffons earlier tonight in the first round. So it wasn't like Desmond Green is doing things that others aren't doing as well. And Chiffons, like I said, was not a slouch. But nonetheless, I get the feeling from Alexandre yesterday that he fully believes in himself, and he's here to fight, and he's here for a good tussle and a good fight. So I'm wondering just how, I mean, I assume both guys are ready for a tough fight. I mean, if it has to get down and dirty and you have to get in the trenches, they will, and they'll be there and not quit. But nonetheless, you can't underestimate the competition here, especially in a bare-knuckle fight.
Predator better be ready. He's going to get a fight as we set the stage for this co-main event.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your BYB co-main event of the evening. Scheduled for 5 3-minute rounds in the middleweight division. This fight is brought to you by the Bareknuckle Boxing Hall of Fame. Let's meet the fighters. First, fighting out of the blue corner. He stands 5 feet 10 inches tall, weighing in at 155 pounds. He holds a bare-knuckle record of 1 win, 0 losses, and he fights out of Cape Coral, Florida, by way of Brasilia, Brazil, Carlos Mistoca Alexandre. And his opponent, fighting out of the red corner. He stands 5 feet 10 inches tall, weighing in at 156 pounds. He holds a bare-knuckle record of 1 win, 0 losses, and he fights right here in Miami, Florida. Introducing Desmond the Predator Green. Our referee, Bobby Wambacher.
All right, gentlemen, we've been through the rules. You're back. Expect a good, clean fight. Obey my commands at all times. Protect yourself at all times. Touch them up if you want. Stand right here.
Electric atmosphere for our co-main event as we take a look at the tail of the tape. The Predator ready. Alexandre, he had that arrow from the quiver.
Yeah, you see the tail of the tape, even on all sides, same height, 1 inch advantage for Carlos Alexandre in reach. That was a weird introduction because first he shot him with the bow and arrow, imaginary bow and arrow, and then at the stare down he came and hugged him.
So you shoot somebody with an arrow, you know, you got to make up after.
I guess he's trying to make mind games in there. I don't know. Green in a good rhythm. Looks like he's ready to fight. And the southpaw Green, of course, leading with the right hand at the jab.
Co-main event scheduled for 5 3-minute rounds, middleweight division. Big fight feel here in the James L. Knight Center, Miami, Florida.
And this is our third southpaw that we've gotten so far tonight, so it's definitely a night of southpaws.
And that's the thing here. Alexandre told us he's got the fastest jab yesterday, but it's a lot more tricky to jab against a southpaw. Good straight left hand there by Green.
Changing levels was the Predator coming in, entering with the body shot, then attempting to go upstairs.
And now's the battle of the footwork.
Oh, it's a pretty darn quick jab there by the Predator as well, guys.
And see the difference in this fight? They're all on the balls of their feet.
Yeah.
You watch those calf muscles. Those things are changing direction, side to side. The weight, so you know they can come with power, but they can get out of there too.
Yeah, it's a technical fight and a skill fight here. Explosive first step by Green, I think, is the difference so far. He's got that quick first step, and Alexandre may think he has fast hands, but it's Green's first step that's been able to get him the shots landed to give him the early advantage so far.
And that fast jab there, Toddy, he's using now for defense. He's just kind of opening that hand up and trying to block the right hand.
And that's the thing about it, fighting a southpaw. You have to adjust your jab and the angle you throw it at.
Minute 12 to go here in the first round. On the hunt is the Predator. Good action thus far.
Alexandre now trying to turn southpaw. That's a nice straight left hand.
So that might be the way for him to get that left hand in, is switch to southpaw.
Now turn southpaw again.
And trying to answer is the Predator after he got caught in the ropes there by Mistoka. Carlos Alexandre, ebb and flow, back and forth action thus far in round one.
Whoa! Good hook there by Des Green. Good little tactical fight by both guys here. Both guys setting their traps, showing us their thinking in there.
I think the best jab is by Green, because the way he uses it, comes in with that right and then that left.
He really sticks it.
Yeah, and sometimes he's using that first punch as a throwaway punch to put Alexandre in a bad position to then land with the follow-up. Nice little feint there by Des Green. Very tactical fight.
Inside 15 seconds now here in round one, out of the clinch. Remember, dirty boxing allowed, encouraged here in BYB. Referee steps apart. Seconds remaining in round one here. Who can get that put that exclamation point on the round? It looks like it's going to be Alexandre.
Close round.
Great action. I got to ask you guys, how do you see that? Some great jabs and blitzing offense by Green. A great combination there late by Alexandre. Your thoughts on the first round?
Yeah, very tight, man. What do you think, Ben?
I hate to score 10-10 rounds, but you know, this one was right there. Two very technical guys. It's like watching a mongoose with a cobra. Yeah. You know, it's just they're both playing, like Paulie said, planting their traps. And then, you know, all of a sudden, what we expected the great jab from Alexandre, it's actually Green that's coming out with the jab, because Alexandre, all he was doing was using that as defense.
Yeah, I slightly edge it to Green, but I mean, it's gun to my head type of decision. You know, I'm 10-10, I wouldn't even get mad at you with a 10-10 round. It's a close round.
What I love is the explosion of both fighters. When they do blitz in on the jab, they close the gap in a hurry. These guys are fast.
And they're both thinking their way through it. They're setting traps, especially Green. They're not all the traps are landing, not all the traps are working, but nonetheless, it's a thinking man's fight.
Big mouse over the right on the inside above the bridge of the nose on Green.
First time these two have been out of round one here at BYB. Their victories, both are 1-0 coming into this fight. Both were first round finishes.
And you know what I love about Alexandre? When he throws the punch, he's already in a position to throw some more. He's never in a bad position the way he shifts his weight.
I'll tell you one thing Green's doing, he's ducking his head real low when he comes to attack, and it forces Alexandre to get back on the back foot on the momentum. And then he tries to hit Alexandre with the follow-up punches, being that he's put him out of position. He's forced him out of position by charging him. Alexandre, it's a risk, but you got to kind of charge back towards Green there and then and grab him, I guess, and get inside of those wide shots that he's throwing his throwaway punches.
Alexandre has been effective thus far with the counter punch in here, especially lately.
You know, you can just tell Alexandre's just a smart guy. He's a smart guy in that ring. Every move It's a premeditated move. I mean, he's very precise, and that's what bare knuckle fighting's all about. You got to be very precise with your shots.
Yeah, both guys, again, thinking their way through. Both guys fighting a very intelligent fight. And there, Alexandre held his ground. And see what happened. He didn't get pushed back to get hit with the follow-up shots that Green's momentum put him there. He did.
Big right hand there, stumbles Alexandre, but the Predator is finding out quickly in this fight, however, just how tough the competition can be in BYB as we are now making our way through the second of 5 scheduled rounds. Dropping low levels again is the Predator. Trying to attack from all angles, gentlemen.
And you know what I'm surprised, Paulie, is that when Alexandre switches from a southpaw to a righty, he doesn't slow down.
Nah.
Usually guys get lethargic when they do that.
Yeah, maybe he's got that karate background or something. I'm not sure, because a lot of times in karate, you'll be switching up a lot.
Looked like he was going to do a takedown.
Almost looked like a body slam was on the way. That's one of the things not legal here in BYB. Nice jab again by Green, working that, worked it throughout the fight.
Oh, nice 1-2 there by Green. That southpaw stance.
You know, Paulie, you talked about Green dropping his head. Alexandre has never dropped that head in this fight. No. He's got that head straight, looking at him straight to eye, not wanting to miss a single thing.
Good point. Nice combination, though, the other way by Alexandre. Trying to keep the pedal to the metal here in the second round as it's 15 seconds to go. Left hook by the Predator.
Very evenly matched fight.
Final seconds of the round here. Nice jab again by Green. Answering is Alexandre. Back and forth, just well-matched fight. Stop. Round 2 comes to a close. We'll be heading to the third. Inside the corner of the Predator here. Heading into round 3.
I'm surprised they're not applying that in swell to the up, because it's above the eye.
Yep.
Seconds out.
Not applying that pressure.
Seconds out. Let's go. Carlos up.
Contusion. Getting set for round 3 of 5 scheduled. This has been a good one. A lot of class in the Trigon for this middleweight contest.
And there's a cut over the right eye of Carlos Alexandre.
What a battle it's been thus far. We'll see who can get the early advantage here in round 3. How do you guys have it scored so far after 2?
You know, Paulie, I gave the second round to Alexandre. I just thought he did enough. And
yeah, I gave it to him slightly. Again, another close round. I slightly edged it to Alexandre. Oh, good shot there by Green. But again, you see how he uses Alexandre's backwards momentum, that he puts him in a backwards momentum by charging at him. He makes it a little bit sloppy by design. Puts Alexandre.
Oh, look out here. Big surge by Green. Oh, my goodness, just takes him down with authority. Boy, he's sending a message. This thing, it's getting physical in a hurry, guys.
Yeah, I think he's trying to send subliminal psychological messages that he's the boss in there. And Alexandre keeps walking him down. Anyway, I've got it 1-1. I gave Alexandre the second round by an edge, and I gave Desmond Green, ex-NFL player.
I hated to score a draw. I scored the first round of draw.
The first round by a hair.
Boy, we have a bare-knuckle fight, and seconds ago an MMA fight almost broke out with that takedown. Both guys experienced in the cage as well. Oh, watch out, the punching from behind. Referee admonishing Green for that.
And you know, all of a sudden, I think Green's strength is starting to come forth. You know, he looks a lot stronger now, and he looks like he's a little bit more confident, and now he's closing that space now.
It does seem for Green like playtime's over. He wants to assert some dominance in this fight, but Alexandre not going anywhere, Paulie.
No. He's committed, and he looked for that counter uppercut there. He might have just missed it.
Changing levels, blitzing in, trying to make the fight in the phone booth is the Predator. 1 minute to go in round 3 of 5.
And what Green's doing a good job is fighting out of the clinch. And that's something that's surprising, Alexandre. You expect the referee to be in there, and it's not happening.
I give Green credit though for using all the intangibles. You know, he realizes the technical fight is kind of even. It's hard to manage, so he's using some bully tactics. He's using some other tactics that maybe can break up Alexandre's concentration and force mistakes.
And
certainly outside the box.
Nice shot out of the clinch and a big left hand there.
Biggest shot of the fight.
Right on the jaw, momentarily buckled Carlos Alexandre.
Alexandre took a picture and he took a left hand from Green.
Alexandre telling him to come on, but he's got to cut that trigon off. He's got to cut it off. He's allowing Green the exit route.
Boy, this round flew by. Seconds remaining. What a battle it's been. A little mugging there by Alexandre. And this round comes to a close. We've got ourselves the makings of a classic here at BYB 8. 'Tis the season to brawl.
And I warned him about it.
There's that cut over that right eye there.
Green landed the biggest shot of the fight in that round with that.
I gave it to Green, yeah.
That Green caught him flush on the jaw with that left. But Alexandre ate it, kept fighting back. I mean, these are two, you heard Green talk about being a modern-day gladiator. These are two modern-day gladiators in the Coliseum here.
You know, Paulie, they're not even taking his mouth guard out.
No, they're not. And there's a action from that round. There's a takedown first. Let's see how, here it is. I think it was some action and then Green trying to free himself and then down they go. And that was Green using bully tactics, trying to get the psychology. There's a left hand by Green, biggest shot of the fight. But Green trying to use technical, bully, technical, tactical, while Alexandre is trying to strictly keep it tactical, and the awkwardness of Green is throwing him off now.
Green has started to surge, certainly did so in the 3rd round. Now we find ourselves in round 4 of 5. Alexandre trying to charge. What a fight it's been. Just back and forth seesaw matchup here at BYB 8.
And what's worked for Green is to make this a street fight. Forget the technical stuff. Make it a street fight.
Yeah, but a good balance though, Benny. Sometimes he's tactical and sometimes he's rugged outside the rules. There it is again. You know, Alexandre being too technical now, and it's almost starting to hurt him.
Boy, Green just missed with that right hand. He hit that right hand.
Just again throwing around Alexandre, just trying to out-physical Carlos. Carlos getting up a little bit slower from that.
He hurt his right hand.
Yeah.
And he's trying to get in his head. He's trying to get in his head.
Could have hurt his wrist there the way he went down, and yeah, trying to run some space in the head of Mistoka. What action it's been. Minute 50 to go now in round 4. Electric atmosphere here at the James L. Knight Center, Miami, Florida. Action slows momentarily. What a pace these two have kept, though, since the opening bell.
But I think Alexandre is slowed down now. Because when you see him throw his punch, it doesn't come back as quickly.
When you're getting thrown down to the canvas, that's going to deplete your gas tank a little bit, too.
And he's telegraphing the right hand too much now.
Turn around!
You know, and he's starting to complain the rough tactics of Green.
Yeah, well,
it's getting his head a little bit.
It's the 2nd time that Green's been warned about punching to the back of the head. If he does so again, what would he maybe get a point taken?
It's possible, but you know, Alexandre can't fight and play referee at the same time. You gotta get it. You gotta keep your concentration, otherwise you're gonna get yourself hurt.
But then when is it a punch and when are you trying to establish that tie plumb?
That's a good point as well. But there's a couple times that Alexandre's back has been turned and Green has thrown the shot.
And that happens also with lefty versus righties as well, you know, with that angle.
Counter punch to the body there by Alexandre.
And you know, as much as I said he's trying to make this into a street fight, boy, he's got a lot of respect for Alexandre, because after he throws that shot, you know, he backs up right away.
Yeah.
Green corner, tries to fight his way out. Circles out of the corner. Oh, nice right hand by Alexandre, yes.
Oh, nice left hand by Green to return the favor. And you see what he does. He bangs him around and then he kind of shoves him.
8 seconds to go. We might get some fireworks here at the end of round 4. Round comes to a close, and guys, we are going to head to the 5th and decisive round here. I don't know how many people would have had money on this thing potentially going the distance. I know I would.
I'll tell you, Alexandre is looking worse for wear here, and we'll see. It's going to be interesting to see if he can get past the 5th round. He's walking back to the wrong corner. Looks a little bit dejected. I think it was another round for Des Green. I got it 3-1 now.
Yeah, but you know, Paulie, one of the things he did really well, I was really amazed the way he got himself out of that corner. Because that looked like Green was going to come in there and do some serious damage, and he fought his way out of there.
Levanta esa cabeza, carajo. Con mano arriba. Levanta esa cabeza y el chin.
Great production team taking you right into the corners of both fighters in our co-main event middleweight clash that has not disappointed. Who can dig down deeper and find that little something extra to try and take home the W? We're going to find out as we're going to our 5th and final round here at BYB 8. 'Tis the season to brawl. Time to fight on. 5th and final round. Both fighters throwing early. Do you get just total sense of urgency time in this final round, gentlemen?
Well, for Alexandre, for sure. Although Green can't be a slouch either, because even that, you know, the early rounds were close. The first couple of rounds are very close.
But you know, now what Alexandre's doing, he's sitting down on his punches a lot more than he was in the other 2 rounds.
And how do you see it, Benny? Is Alexandre in a position where he needs a finish here to win this
He needs
fight?
a knockout. No, because I got this for Green.
I tell you, Green is just awkward, man. Green he punches and he pulls back in weird, awkward ways. Then all of a sudden he's fighting technical. The next second he's being a bully and pushing you around and throwing you all over the place. He discombobulates the rhythm of the fight. And a guy like Alexandre, who seems to be a technical fighter, is getting, you know, very, very confused by this kind of fight.
Green seems very loose in there right now, though. A lot of confidence in the movement of Green.
And you know, these guys are moving from the very beginning. They know how to move in there. They're very comfortable in their movements and stuff like that. And they're very hard to hit. You haven't seen a lot of accumulation of punches that have landed.
Two clash in the middle of the trigon. Down, rule to slip.
Yeah, Green pushed him down there.
But again, more psychological tactics, perhaps, by the physically dominant Desmond Green, trying to assert that dominance in there. Got to start uncorking the shots here if you're Alexandre.
Exactly. Don't save here, save at the bank.
Oh, nice uppercut there by Alexandre.
Can't leave anything in the trigon here. Trying to find the door, the entrance there to get some damage on Green. Alexandre trying to solve this riddle.
And you know, I've yet to see the jab. I've yet to see that fast jab.
Yeah, and because of the awkwardness of Green, it's not easy for Alexandre to use the jab, but he's got to feint with it first, because when you got an awkward guy, you got to keep it basic. You want to feint a lot too, to make him bite and make a false move, make a false awkward move, so you can hit him with the follow-up. But none of the feints have really been seen on the part of Alexandre.
And you know, for Green, he's going to get some experience out of this, and he's going to know that when he's got a fighter in that corner, that's when you got to bring it. Don't let him out of there.
Well, Green finding out quickly that you can't just walk through the competition in BYB here. And Alexandre saying, hey, meet me in the center of the trigon and let's get at it.
Yeah, but that's frustration. That's frustration.
Only seconds left now. And this one goes the distance in our co-main event. Great battle between Alexandre, who had a very quick start in this fight.
Yeah, good fight. Good fight, good technical fight.
But you almost get the feeling that there's some unfinished business here.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
you
not
know what
resolved.
it is? You got it. It's still called bare knuckle fighting. It's not called bare knuckle knockout, even though a lot of knockouts do happen. So you still got to find your way into maneuvering and being a technical fighter when it's evenly matched like this. I know Alexandre just wanted the fight to be at center and trigon, but they're not in the phone booth, they're in the trigon. There is room to maneuver in there, and Green used all his advantages.
Yeah, and what Green did was he did not let Alexandre fight his fight. You know, we talked about the jab. He never gave him a chance to shoot that jab. Like Paulie said, sometimes he came in brawling, sometimes he came in with dirty tactics, sometimes he was technical, but he really mixed it up. And I think he's finding his way. But I think there's something about fighting in the Trigon, and I think you got to learn how to fight in there, especially how to move around.
Yeah, and Alexandre never really was able to make any adjustments. I didn't see a lot of feints from him. He didn't cut off the Trigon at all. You got to, I mean, I guess if you're not a boxer, I don't know how adept you will be at cutting off a ring or a Trigon, but, you know, with all of Green's awkward movement, cutting him off would have been a good plan, but I don't know that Alexandre knew or understood how to cut him off. So there was a couple of adjustments that would have been needed to be made that I never saw Alexandre make, and I think that's why eventually Green was able to pull away with the fight, a fight that he had to work to win in. I mean, I think every round he had to work.
A lot of credit has to go to both fighters. This is the first time they ever got out of the first round, let alone go the distance. Evenly matched fight as it now is in the hands of the judges.
And you know, these are two fighters, Todd, that are very instinctive. So they kind of figure what the other guy wants to do, and they're not going to let him do it. And I think that's what you saw right there. You know, two instinctive guys trying to neutralize the other guy's strength and trying to create that to make it advantage. And in my opinion, it is Desmond Green who used that more effectively.
Only one will have their hand raised. Let's head back to the Trigon to see who will take home the victory.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 5 full rounds, we go to the judges' scorecard for the official decision. Judges Toledo and Rupert scored about 48-47, while Judge Green scores at 49-46, declaring your winner by unanimous decision, Desmond the Predator Green.
The Predator improving to 2-0, undefeated inside the Trigon. Having his hand raised, he had to earn this one. Getting the medal of the Bareknuckle Fighting Hall of Fame. To the victor goes the spoils. And Bob Alexandre standing by with the Predator.
Thank you, Todd. We're with the winner, Desmond Green. Desmond, your first fight in the Trigon, you get a quick knockout. This time you have to go the full 5 rounds. You came out content to box in the first couple rounds, but then you started really letting your shots go in the 3rd round. Talk about the fight.
Yeah, you know, not to make excuses, but I was battling hand injuries on both hands, but you know, I got kids to feed, so I didn't dare think about pulling out. So, you know, the first round, it was always, the plan was to go out there, get my hands warmed up, and, you know, before I jump straight into it. So, it was a filling out process. Hats off to him. He's tough motherfucker, bro.
Talk about your speed and your athleticism. That seemed to dominate as the fight went on. You were really able to use your skills. You boxed really well. How did you feel in there?
To be honest, I didn't feel that great. I maybe fought like 70%, not to make excuses. You know, I want to get back in the drawing board. It wasn't my best fight, but I got the job done. I was always going for the finish, but sometimes we don't have the perfect night, but as long as we get the W, everything's all right.
Heading into 2022, what are we going to see from Desmond Green?
Oh, man, just more highlights, you know what I mean? More highlights, more ass whooping, more bloody fights, and more of me getting my hand raised. Shout out 585 Rochester. Shout out Young Tigers Foundation, KO Zone, Miami. What's up?
Winner by unanimous decision, Desmond Green.
And shout out Domingo Lopez.
Desmond Green, the Predator, was on the hunt, but Carlos Alexandre was anything but easy prey. Back up to the desk, and Dave and Claudia.
Okay, Claudia. Finally, here at BYB 8, a fight goes the distance.
Yes.
5 full rounds, and the Predator, Des Green, just a little better than Carlos Alexandre, according to the judges here tonight. This was close. I thought at the very end, Green did enough. You thought it was too close to call till the end as well. This was a great matchup.
I said it from the very beginning, even when we were having the conversation this morning, I knew this was a great test for Desmond Green, but I also knew that it could be a little bit of a challenge because of the change of time, because of the change of pace for Alexandre. Now, I totally agree with the 48-47. There's 2 rounds that could have gone either way, but obviously, you know, there's a saying, Lady Fortune looks with kind eyes for those who takes risks, and that was Desmond Green tonight.
I want to know your opinion on the throwdowns. Now, Des Green is a former All-American wrestler, Mid-American Conference. He was at the University of Buffalo, the upstate guy who did his training in MMA in Ithaca, New York, in the Bomb Squad with some pretty big names. Twice wrestling throwdowns or MMA throwdowns against Alexandre. The second time, I think Alexandre was physically injured. Benny pointed out his hand. What does that do to a fighter's psyche to be thrown down like that? Also, 2 hits to the back of the head in that fight against the rules. Little mind games can actually benefit Des Green, I thought.
Of course, of course. That's what we call in Spanish colmillo. That goes with the flying hours that we were talking about. That goes with the kind of experience and the level of opponents that he's faced. So the takedowns, what it does mentally is I'm basically being manhandled. And that's what he did with somebody like Alexandre. And you can obviously see the size, the muscle. He's fit at its best. I mean, this is the best condition we've seen Desmond Green in a long time. And he took advantage of that. And mental games, let me tell you something. Tyson always said, I win my fights before I actually walk into the ring. All it takes is one stare. That's it. And that's basically what Desmond did.
Well, Des Green, as Bob Alexander talked about in the post-fight interview, won easily over Jeff Chiffons in his first appearance at BYB, a first-round knockout. It was over in seconds. This one goes 5 full rounds. And I thought Paulie hit the nail on the head early, a very technical fight. So we're seeing some good versatility from Des Green. He's not just a knockout artist. He's not just a UFC guy. He's becoming a good boxer.
Yes, his striking was there. And let's talk about his stamina. This is a man, this is only his second fight after 2.5 years of being out of the fight game. His stamina is up to par. So he's got the tools, he's got the personality, he's got the mindset. I see champ written all over him.
Main event, are we ready for this one? Patty Juarez from Mexico is the reigning champ in this division. Sarah Click, active U.S. Army, based out of Louisiana, originally from Boston, played college softball at the Massachusetts Maritime Academy. She served our nation, protecting our nation's freedom in Afghanistan 9 years ago. She rappels out of helicopters as part of her training. A machine gunner in Afghanistan who's been through some incredible experiences. We thank her for her service. Now she wants to prove herself in the Trigon here tonight, Claudia.
And this is a woman that's used to getting hit. We don't say that too often. This is a woman that understands challenges. This is a woman that is willing to walk in her debut in BYB and take on the champion. Not just anybody does that. And let's not forget the fact that her career is actually being a vertical engineer, and I did not know what that was. But what she does is build roads and positions for battle for the soldiers. 10 years worth of service, so she understands what it is to walk in, do her business, and get the hell out of Dodge.
Serious customer.
Yes.
Really good fighter. Great athlete. Let's learn more about Sarah Click.
My name is Sarah Click. I'm from Boston, Massachusetts. Well, I'm active duty Army, and so I used to be National Guard. Went active duty just kind of for the hell of it. They put me in the absolute nastiest place that they could put me. So got down Fort Polk, Louisiana, nice and hot, but I'm enjoying it. Met my wife there, so it's all good. I started fighting right after I got back from Afghanistan, just because I was an adrenaline junkie and started getting into trouble. I think being in the military definitely helped with my fighting career, because both you have to be disciplined. My mom is very supportive of me fighting. She flies to every fight that I have. My wife screams at me constantly, all the time. I've thought about how I would move around in the Trigon. It's going to have to be a lot of short, very sharp angles. There is nowhere to run or hide. It does provide a lot of great action. What's going on, Patty? Hey, I'm coming in here for you. This is my first fight, but at the end of the day, I'm a warrior, you're a warrior. I know we're gonna have a great fight, but I'm coming to knock your fucking head off, and that's it.
Okay, that was blunt. That was direct from the very tough Mocha Madness, Sarah Click. She's clearly ready. Patty Juarez, you, Benny, and Paulie interviewed her in Spanish yesterday. Patty originally from Mexico. She is the lightweight champion with the one Trigon victory over Christine Knuckles Stanley, where she was outstanding. Family is a huge part of her life. Her sister Barrie, along with another sister, are also champion boxers.
Yeah, with Lourdes, who's the younger one. And this is a family that actually started playing soccer, but because they were so good, the teammates and the opposition would pick fights with them. And that's how they evolved into being fighters. And the dad literally took over their careers. So these girls understand athleticism, sports, discipline, and they work together in tandem. And it's brilliant to see how one leads the other and leads the next in technique, conditioning, nutrition. So their roots are deep, the tradition is deep, and they've actually taken on that baton saying we're Mexican fighters, and it reflected directly into the Trigon when Patty took on that title.
Patty Juarez is our reigning lightweight champ in BYB. Let's learn more about her story.
Soy Patricia Juarez Trejo y vengo de Denver. Yo no sé, si llegan a ver mis peleas, yo casi siempre soy más de estar dentro. O sea, como pongamos aquí, es difícil porque es sin guantes, entonces sí tienes que aprender a manejar y mucha gente a lo mejor le gusta correr. Pero también en un espacio tan pequeño se disfruta más la pelea. Gracias a Dios tengo a mi pareja, a mi esposo, que siempre está conmigo para todo. El apoyo de mi papá, de mis hermanos. Gracias a Dios todo me ha funcionado muy bien. Mi mamá murió, yo solo lloré un día, el día que nos dijeron. Yo estoy feliz, lo que viví con mi mamá fue lo más hermoso. Siempre, yo creo que soy la persona que soy por ella. Mi papá en sí va a venir a la pelea. Es muy escandaloso mi papá. Su voz siempre resalta ante todas. O no sé si es porque yo ya sé que es él. Si das un mal golpe o algo, a lo mejor los primeros golpes sientes que será en el primer round, los primeros 3 golpes los sientes que te den, sientes al darlos, pero luego ya el cuerpo calienta tanto que ya no sé, bueno, yo ya no sentía nada. Pero ya en los últimos rounds la mano ya estaba tan hinchada que ya se empezaban a sentir los golpes que yo le daba. Sara, nos vemos en la pelea. Espero que te hayas preparado bien, me estoy preparando bien y vamos a dar una linda función.
All right, Claudia, you promised me for a prediction. Juarez, Click, lightweight championship fight here in Miami. Who is the winner?
This is going to be a very tough test for both fighters because of tradition, because of technique, because of experience. I have to lean towards Patty because she's the champion and she will do whatever it takes to keep that.
There you have it from Claudia. Patty wins. Let's find out what happens. Let's meet the fighters with Big Mo.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for our main event of the evening. Scheduled for 7 2-minute rounds in the women's lightweight division, and it is for the BYB Women's Lightweight Championship. Introducing first, making her way to the Trigon, the challenger. Please welcome Sarah Click.
It's main event time here at BYB 8. 'Tis the season to brawl, and here we see the challenger, Sarah Click. As Dave mentioned, she was a vehicle machine gunner in Afghanistan, and the challenger looking to bring the heavy artillery in her bid to make history. She's fought under the bright lights before. She's a veteran of the Bellator cage, and ironically, Sarah Click has the very same opportunity that the champion Patty Juarez had, and that's to win the lightweight title in her very first fight in BYB.
Yeah, you know, it's not often you just come in and get a chance to fight for a title, but in Sarah Click's case, she's able to do that. Not an easy ask of her. You know, Patty Juarez is not just a champion, but she's battle-tested. She's coming from a fighting family, coming from, you know,
the pedigree that you would think of, not just from a championship level, but also from just a elite status level. So we'll see what Sarah Click brings. You know, she's got the pedigree herself as far as being a military woman. You know, she's got the toughness. She feels that she belongs here, but now she's going to get a chance to be able to prove it.
And, you know, Sarah Click has been an athlete her whole life. She was a softball player. She played every sport there was, and she's very, very comfortable in an arena like this. No arena is too big for her, especially when you've been dodging, you know, shrapnel and gunnery and all those kind of things. I mean, this is a woman that knows how to fight. She loves the battle. Nothing is too big for her, and I think this is going to be a great fight, but the key is going to be the footwork. Can she move around in that trigon effectively?
And can the challenger make it a brawl? I don't know if she can outbox Patty Juarez, but certainly that Muay Thai MMA background, and she's been training those micro fractures in the hands as well.
Yeah, she's going to try to bring it to her, that's for sure.
And her opponent, the champion, making her way to the trigon and fighting out of the red corner. Please welcome Patty Juarez.
Patty Juarez draped in gold, and that's fitting because you're looking at the first ever champion in BYB history. Won it back in July when she defeated Stanley in a 7-round war that went the distance. Both gladiators were bloodied in that battle, and Patty pulled off the family trifecta. Her sisters, Mariana and Lourdes, both boxing world champions. Not to be outdone, Patty becomes the first ever BYB champ.
A lot to live up to when you come from a family like that. I mean, like I said before, the pedigree is in the family, so she had to do her part and win her own world championship. All three sisters either are or have been world champions, and they've kind of cemented the Juarez family legacy there.
Yeah, and I thought her fight against Stanley was the best technical fight I've ever seen a fighter fight in the trigon. The way she moved, the way she did not stay in that corner. She went side to side. She constantly moved Stanley around and landed those shots, creating punching angles for herself. She does that very well. Like she said, she felt the first couple of punches. Then her body warmed up, and then she wasn't able to feel anything. But then she swelled up so much. So that's why she wants to make this a little bit quicker.
Patty Juarez brings a lot of the sweet science into the trigon. Let's set the stage for our main event.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your BYB main event of the evening, and it is for the BYB Women's Lightweight Championship. So I need everybody in the arena, from the rafters to ringside, and those of you tuning in around the world, to get up out of your seats, raise your drinks high, and get wild. Out of the blue corner, she stands 5 feet 3 inches tall, weighing in at 134 pounds. She is making her bare knuckle debut, and she fights out of Fort Polk, Louisiana. Introducing Sarah Mocha Madness Cliff. And her opponent, the champion. She stands 5 feet 5 inches tall, weighing in at 136 pounds. She holds an undefeated bare knuckle record of 1 win, 0 losses. And she fights out of Denver, Colorado, by way of Mexico City, Mexico. Introducing the reigning, defending BYB Women's Lightweight Champion, Patty Juarez. Our referee, Sam Burgos.
All right, Sarah, come in. All right, ladies, remember, get the instructions on the back, obey my command, protect yourself at all times. Camerino, modesto, se protege en todo momento. Mouthpiece, mouthpiece. All right, let's go.
Main event lightweight title on the line as we look at the tail of the tape between champion and challenger.
Yeah, Patty, 10 years older, so Click with a 10-year age advantage. Juarez a little taller, a little bit more reach, but let's see if the younger Click can use that energy to her advantage.
Both competitors throw in early, a clash of styles, and we see Click here trying to ragdoll the champion a little bit, use that physicality. Hand-to-hand combat training, she's got that, does Click.
And you know, one of the most underrated part of Patty's game is her defense. Very, very good at moving her head. Very good at getting out of harm's way and then coming right back and countering.
Yeah, good technique from her, and she's got a nice jab to start out this fight so far. She uses it coming forward. She's using it on the back step as well.
And Juarez proved she can go in an absolute war, did so with Christine Knuckles Stanley. What a classic that was. Became the first ever lightweight champion here in BYB, and now the first ever title defense of the promotion.
And this is almost like the Stanley fight, Paulie, because you can see it right away. She's finding her spot, and she's landing those.
Yeah. Early on, she had the advantage over Stanley, and Stanley came on late and put her in some problems. We'll see right now. She seems to have the advantage, walking Click into some shots. Click, though, aggressive, enthusiastic about attacking, but right now, Juarez picking her shots better.
Click mentioned that she's got to find a way to turn this into a street fight, into a brawl. Has not done that yet. Maybe just looking for her window.
Yeah, she's got to close the gap in order to do that. And right now, Juarez's jab has been very good.
And Click to me seems like a heavy-footed fighter. You know, it's almost like a plotter. You know, she's not bouncing around. She's not swiftly moving side to side, but she's loading up.
Yep, well, she's got the heavy artillery, as we mentioned. Nice counter shot there by the champion, Patty Juarez. The two meeting in the middle of the trigon. Juarez now going to work up against the ropes.
And you know, Patty Juarez right now is taking a page out of Paulie's book, and that is lean to the right and come in with that left.
Yep. And those long extended punches of Juarez, while keeping her balance, while keeping a proper balance and not falling in, have really allowed her to dictate that first round. And Click has some adjustments to make if she's going to have any success in this fight.
Let's hear if we can listen in on Click's corner a little bit. It's wildly loud in here. It's definitely.
Look at me. You're fucking doing it all with the fucking jab. You are, okay? You can't fucking give that up. Hit the jab, get a feint, hit that 1-2 quick. You're going to too slow. Once you hit that jab, you gotta fucking let it go, okay? All right.
Corner of Sarah Click saying, you know, you got to move, you got to hit that 1-2 combination. Can't just sit there.
And the crowd going crazy because Israel Quinones, one of our fighters, and if you watch BYB, he's had some of the most impressive knockouts you'll see. Tonight is working as the ring card guy for this fight, for this female fight.
But he's a stripper.
Well, actually now he's an ex-stripper. Now he works as the head of security because he's knocking out so many people that he got a job as a head of security now at another strip club.
Equal opportunity here in BYB. Round 2, scheduled for 7 2-minute rounds here for the women's lightweight title.
And Todd, Patty's got a target already. The left eye of Click. Huge hematoma over the left eye.
Nasty right hand by the champion. Is targeting it there, Benny.
And again, look at Patty Juarez picking her spots. You know, knowing how to probe with that left hand, using it, knowing when to snap with it, and knowing when to follow it with a nice straight right hand. These straight shots are dictating not just the pace for her, but also maintaining the proper distance for her to keep control of this fight.
Click now trying to throw with reckless abandon, trying to go to the body. Challenger trying to get some going, eats a stiff left hand there by the champ.
And boy, Patty's just merciless on that left eye.
And that's the thing about Click too. Her inexperience in boxing is showing here because she throws her right hand and she looks down at the ground. So she's not able to keep her balance, nor is she able to follow up when she misses that right hand, because ultimately you're looking at the ground, you're going to miss a fighter like Juarez who's adept at defending.
Yeah, you look at the ground, you might find yourself there momentarily where your head goes, your body goes, and just a whirling dervish right now is the champ, Benny.
And you know what'll take care of that looking down the ground? An uppercut. Patty throws an uppercut, it's over.
Yep, that'll give you an attitude adjustment in a hurry. You can see the swollen face of the challenger, Sarah Click, the damage done thus far by Patty Juarez.
She spit on my hand out here, too.
Best seats in the house, Paulie.
But you know, every time she's throwing a shot right now, it's going right at that left eye. Right at that left eye. She leans.
Nice jab again. Juarez's jab, really, really good.
Well, some short uppercuts there out of the clinch by the champion as well. Again, 2-minute rounds. Round 2 close to coming to an end, and the champion just giving her the business. Wow, what an onslaught by Patty Juarez.
And that's the thing now with Click. Sarah Click is having no success on the outside where Juarez is dominating with the jab, but now she's having no success on the inside.
All right, here we see again Isaiah Quinones.
Isaiah Quinones.
Yep, ring card boy.
And this time at least one of the ring card girls joined them. Quinones, not to be undone. He's either putting on a show fighting or he's putting on a show as a ring card guy.
And he is a gentleman. He's waiting for the ring card girl to step down. There's Stanley.
Oh, take a look at this. Christine Stanley going to have a watchful eye on this one and the outcome.
Obviously, that's a matchup everybody wants to see again.
Stanley was supposed to fight tonight. She was supposed to fight Miranda Barber, but now scouting here in our main event would obviously not want and love another crack at the lightweight title. Great to see Knuckles. Would have loved to seen her in action in the Trigon. Certainly will soon, we gotta believe.
And if Sarah Click doesn't make any adjustments this round, I don't know if she's gonna get out of this round.
And you know, she had her mouth wide open that last round. She was really gasping for air.
You got your mouth wide open. Next thing you know, your eyes are going to be wide shut. But here we go. Third round scheduled for 7 2-minute rounds here. Lightweight title hanging in the balance in our main event of LXF8. 'Tis the season to brawl.
And you know, for Patty, that's a big advantage, training in Denver and Mexico City. You're up in that altitude, so she's in great shape.
Holding on there is the challenger, Sarah Click. We'll see if she can maybe throw something out of the clinch. Referee standing between the two fighters now.
Now she's defending even when she's not any guy doesn't have anybody on top of her. Yeah, and that's the thing now. Click is too focused on not taking punishment, doesn't know how to approach the rest of this fight here.
She's eating a ton of punishment, is the challenger, Benny.
Yes, she is, and you know, she's not fighting out of it. At least she's trying to go ahead and get some kind of a leverage. But Patty's relentless. She has a target, that left eye. And that left eye is absolutely just, look how huge it is.
Yeah, there's not much left there. I mean, well, she was 20 seconds ago, she was defending shots that weren't even coming. So she doesn't know whether she's throwing or defending. She's very confused and a little bit out of her league here.
Can't question her toughness, though. Yeah, absolutely. But so far in this main event fight, the Trigon's been a big operating table, and with surgeon-like precision, the champion is carving up the challenge.
She's spinning out the mouthpiece looking for a break. That was
Paulie, when does the referee step in here? Because obviously she has
the corner's got to step in, Benny. I mean, they got to know their fighter first. That mouthpiece came out right in front of us. She spit it out. She turned her head and spit out the mouthpiece. Earlier in the round, she was defending shots that weren't even coming. Juarez is 10 feet away from her, and Click is ducking, trying to get away from punches that aren't even on the way yet. I mean, she's out of her depth here. They got to be careful how they get her hurt.
And part of you knowing this fighter, you got to know this girl's got an unbelievable heart. She's not going to quit. No, someone has to go ahead and end this because look at her face.
Got that military pride and fight. And round coming to a close again, and now just teeing off is the champion, looking for the finish, but Sarah Click with that never say die attitude survives another round. But relatively no offense, Paulie, by the challenger.
Nah, she doesn't even know how to put it together because on the outside, Juarez is dominating with the straight shots. And then on the inside, Juarez is more adept at finding the openings to the body.
You're getting worried.
There's not even a technique there for Click. She doesn't know how to fight.
Look, pivot out. Get the fuck out of there.
Isaiah Quinones getting stuff thrown at him now as a ring card guy. He's about to fight. Now he's pointing at a girl saying he wants her number. He's ready. He's ready to. He's a showman.
In the corner now of the challenger. I mean,
Todd, I'm not seeing a doctor in that corner. You think a doctor would be
That's
there?
what I'm saying, man. Earlier we had a doctor stop a fight over a scratch.
And the doctor didn't stop it. Sammy stopped it. Sam Bogo's referee stopped it.
Oh, earlier.
Yes.
And now, I don't know, man.
All right, looks like we're going to fight on here in our main event. And, yeah, you're right. The doctor not taking a look at Sarah Click. into the 4th round now. We'll see if she can throw a Hail Mary of some sort and get something going offensively.
Now she's turning southpaw, which is only going to make her more open for the right hand.
But, you know, Patty's got a big hematoma on her left eye, too.
Oh, nice right hand there by the challenger. Got through.
I mean, again, give credit to Click for her, but her only plan is duck and throw shots, right? I mean, she's not, there's no technique here.
Just getting outclassed and carved up by the champion. Continues to go to work. Uppercuts now. Those aren't going to do the challenger any favors. Referee got to take a good close look at this.
Absolutely. And the corner, too. And the corner, too. At this point, this is an assault. Even when she's not getting beat up, the only reason she's not getting beat up is that she's holding. It's not like she's holding her own in there.
Got to intelligently defend herself and just now eating unanswered shots.
He's got to step in there. She hasn't thrown a punch. She's tried.
I mean, not where you want to be in the corner in the Trigon, and especially when Patty Juarez is on the other side with all of her ability as a pugilist. Oh wow, what a right hand. That's going to do it. Thank goodness.
Somebody had to do it. That corner really, somebody got to go talk to that corner. Oh, that's unbelievable. But it took the referee to stop that fight.
What an incredible heart. You got to give that to Sarah Click. I mean, just a warrior's heart. She was totally overmatched. She was willing to fight a world champion.
Out of her depth.
I mean, look at the damage there. Look at that eye just swollen shut.
World-class toughness.
Yes.
But very, very low-grade skill. Very low-grade skill. She didn't know how to close the gap. She didn't know how to fight inside. She didn't know how to defend from the outside. She didn't know how to defend from the inside. She was just straight tough. That's all it was. And you got to know as the person in the corner, you know, how limited your fighter might be. And when they're running into this kind of trouble, they're not going to be able to turn it around. There was no shot Sarah Click was going to be able to turn this around.
She's not going to win that fight.
This was only going to get her hurt more.
Absolutely. You talked about it, world-class toughness against a world-class boxing pedigree. You see Mariana, Barbie, Juarez in there, who has the most world title fights in history, by the way. But yeah, you got to applaud the toughness. And oh my goodness, take a look at this, guys.
Come on, baby. You want some, get some. I'll be any of you.
Christina Ferreira
baby. I'm a champ for life. No one's taking my place ever.
She can fight.
Making her bid, saying I can take
lying.
any of you.
She's not lying. She'll get in there with anybody. She can fight.
And here you see a lot of class, a lot of heart was displayed by the challenger. But man, oh man, what a dominant performance by Patty Juarez. And now you see Barbie there giving her kudos as well. A lot of class as we look back at finally this thing came to a close.
And again, a two-handed assault there. Juarez makes some space, steps back to create more punchy space. That is a big right hand that really couldn't have done any favors to that already swollen eye.
I think when Sammy saw that right hand, how flush that thing landed, that's when he finally stepped in there. Because again, she wasn't able to do anything. She couldn't get out of that corner. She wasn't going to get out of the corner. Patty was not going to let her out of that corner. So that's just a bad position for Click.
Sure was, but never say die attitude. We go back inside the Trigon to make it official.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Sam Burgos calls a stop to this contest at 1 minute, 21 seconds of the 4th round, declaring your winner by TKO and still your BYB Women's Lightweight Champion, Patty Juarez.
All right, we are with the winner, Patty Juarez. Joining us, we're going to have her sister do some translating for us. Patty, you went the distance in your title-winning effort before. This was a much more dominant performance. Talk about how you wore her down with all that pressure.
Okay, this is my trainer. He planned everything. Keep a distance and move your head. And everything is work, so thank you. him and my sister.
Talk about how important it was for you to defend this championship. You come from a fighting family, all champions. How important was it for you to get this title defense win?
Para defender tu cinturón, ya que vienes de familia de pugilistas, ¿cómo te sentiste? ¿Qué sentiste?
Pues creo que tuve el honor de sentir algo, yo creo que ellas ya habían tenido, que lo tuve la semana pasada, bueno, la pelea pasada, y creo que fue lo más genial, ha sido algo grande.
She's really happy that she has felt the way her sisters as champions. Now she's a champion in her own right. She felt that the last show and she carried it on till today.
Patty, what would you like to see for your career coming up in 2022?
¿Qué te gustaría ver en tu carrera aquí el año que entra?
Seguir deteniendo el cinturón y pienso brindarle la revancha a Christine. So.
She says she wants to hang on to her belt and she wants to give Christine Stanley her rematch.
Everyone, I think, is going to look forward to that. Congratulations, winner and still champion, Patty Juarez.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Unbelievable, guys. What a night of fights. We just made our way from the broadcast position up to the desk, guys. Incredible night of action right from the bat. In fact, you know, it's hard to pick a fight of the night. But I mean, we just rocketed out of our stance with that opening fight with Mattia Fonda making his debut, taking on Alan Artenzo, and it was a bloody war, guys. Your thoughts on that? It has now officially been named the fight of the night.
I mean, for me, Todd, Mattia Fonda just came out of the gate so quickly. I don't think Alan Artenzo really knew what hit him ever in that fight. It was over early. It was over often. I agree with the decision at fight of the night. He was amazing. This is a guy from the wrestling background we talked about, born in Italy. He's been through so much away from fighting. Homeless at one point, living out of his car. Now he has custody of his daughter, 6-year-old Isabella, who's got to be very proud tonight, Todd.
There you see it, fight of the night indeed, and we take a look back at some of the action. Mattia Fonda was like a man possessed in there, just taking it to a much more experienced stand-up fighter in Alan Artenzo. Your thoughts on the fight of the night, gentlemen?
You know, for me, Fonda, you could see he was inexperienced standing up. Artenzo had the more calm demeanor, the more calm approach, was picking his spots early on. But you can see Fonda was determined to break his will, break his spirit with the intensity, get in his face, stay in his face. And the mistake Artenzo made was, I think he was almost too calm. He allowed Fonda to get in closer and closer. Once he was close enough, he was just making it so uncomfortable that he finally beat the fight out of Artenzo.
You know, and in combat sports, styles make fights. And one of the things on this, Arzano was so wide with those shots. They didn't do any damage. And Fonda was a lot more technical. He came down the pipe with it, was able to land those stuff, and it was a lot of harder punching because he was able to turn it from the very middle.
And then, how about the knockout of the night? Now, there's a lot of tough competition vying for this one when you think of that spin move entrance by Carlos Guerra into the uppercut, but it was outdone by the British invasion, Barrie Jones from BKB coming in.
That was absolutely beautiful. It was an outstanding punch. It was a combination of several hooks that just took Melo down. I don't think Melo even understood what was coming at him. It was like a windmill and non-stop. It was impressive, and it was only 15 seconds, and I agree with what Paulie said immediately after that. I want to see more. I want to see what else he has to show.
Yeah, absolutely. The Welsh Wrecking Machine lived up to that moniker.
Good one. Good nickname.
And even more impressive, guys, when you factor in that Luis Melo last time out went the distance with the current cruiserweight champ in Jomi Escoboza, who will put his title on the line next time. Your guys' thoughts on that partnership with BKB and the performance of Barrie Jones with the knockout of the night?
I mean, I think it's a great partnership. Obviously, there's a lot of talent there. We just saw one of their star-studded pupils explode on the scene here. I mean, Melo known as a durable guy. Melo known as a guy who, forces you to fight. He may not be the most skilled, but a rugged guy who forces you to fight. And Barrie Jones, I mean, he just eviscerated him, just evaporated him. It's crazy to see.
And what I think in that particular fight, what I saw there was the difference between an MMA fighter and a boxer. An MMA fighter stands straight up, throws those punches from like a windmill type of thing, like from the side to side. Whereas when you saw it as far as Barrie, he came right down the pipe. And even though he knew those sides were coming here, so he knew that he could get inside. And in 15 seconds, the thing that makes it so impressive is Melo went with a guy 10 pounds heavier and went the distance. This is 10 pounds under, where he thought he would have an advantage. He had none.
And then let's talk about the main event, a historic first title defense for the incumbent champion, the first title defense in all of BYB, and Patty Juarez did not disappoint. Oh my goodness.
I'll give Sarah Click so much credit for hanging in there as long as she did to get to the fourth round in that fight. Claudia and I are watching thinking, oh, it's going to be over now. It's going to be over now.
It's almost...
She survived a long time. Yes. Incredibly tough, and thanks again for her service defending our nation's freedom. But Patty Juarez, technically speaking, is a great boxer. I thought, Claudia, she proved that tonight.
I totally agree. And again, another shout out to Sam Burgos. Another great stoppage, very, very much in time. I mean, I couldn't see anything that Click had that would do anything different in whatever punishment was going to come to her in the rest of the rounds. Patty showed why she is the champion. She showed how she became the champion, and obviously was a testament to a long, deep roots in the sport of boxing. And she said it in BYB 7. It took me so long to get this title. I'm not just going to let it go. That simple. I am going to do whatever it takes to keep this title. And she did.
Successfully defended it. It was great to see Mariana Barbie Juarez, her sister, in there holding the title as well.
Who's the better sister, though? We asked them yesterday.
Celebration. Oh, those are fighting.
You asked them in Spanish. Who's the better sister? What do you think?
Well, different type of fighters.
In BYB, it's Patty Juarez.
It's got to be Patty Juarez, the champion,
at least
no
thus
doubt.
far. Now let's talk about things coming up to see from our great athletes at BYB. We talked about that British invasion, what Barrie Jones was able to be, and what he was able to do. We're going to be sending Diamante Carlos Guerra to the UK. We're going to be sending Cordis Stitt to the UK. So maybe return the favor after what Barrie Jones was able to do here.
Yeah, hopefully Carlos Guerra on that cut, that's not affecting him or anything, because this guy fights Muay Thai. He fights Bareknuckle. He fights, he's fighting so constantly, you got to make sure that he's not cut for that fight in BKB in England.
All right, and then coming up next time, it'll be in March 12th, and it'll be Jomi Escoboza will be putting his cruiserweight title on the line, but that's next time. So for our whole panel, for Dave Ryan, for Claudia Trejos, for Benny Ricardo, and of course Paulie Malignaggi, I'm Todd Kennelly, everybody in the truck production, and Mike Vasquez, Mel Valenzuela, everybody that makes BYB happen. We'll see you next time when once again it is time to fight on. Good night, everybody.